Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing with Veli and Jesse. And now Disrupt versus Tempo. This is huge. A lot on the line here, gentlemen. The winner goes to the NA Major Qualifier. The loser doesn't get anything. I think that's what Veli said earlier. That's the most appropriate way to put it. But we talked about it a little bit before the break. We're definitely excited about this matchup. How are y'all feeling?
Great. Excited. A lot on the line.
Yep, this game matters more than the first one quite a bit because there's so much in store for these squads. So hopefully we'll get a good one just like the last best of 3.
Yeah, that was a good last matchup, but now we're focusing on this matchup. But really quickly, Jesse, can you just break down what happened last week and why we're here?
Sure, so last week we saw the winners games of each group, Group A and Group B. So, focusing specifically on Group B, we saw Sonics get the first spot from the lower group in that North American qualifier. What that means is they're going to be joining Dark Zero and Mirage in the qualifier to play for the final major spot. There's still one more spot open for the qualifier though, and that's going to be one between either Disrupt or Tempo Storm, the winner of this game right here.
All right, Jesse, thank you so much. And really quickly, we want to check in with our casters for this matchup. We got Blue and Stokes. I'm wondering what they're wearing today. Last time I was like, yo, Blue's going to be wearing his Gucci scarf, and that wasn't the case. So let's see what they're wearing. Let's see if they're excited. How y'all feeling, Blue and Stokes, about Disrupt versus Tempo? And are you wearing a scarf?
Well, I can answer that first one. Well, that last one, technically. No scarf again today, unfortunately.
Dang.
Come
on, man.
We got to save that for special occasions.
How are you going to wear it like
Okay,
6 days in
fine.
a row? And you're just like, nah.
He wore it like
made
3
it a
days
thing
in
and
a
then you made it
row.
not a thing.
Well, that was because
Yes.
it was new. I was showing it off.
Oh, okay.
But,
He's retired
yeah.
it for now, folks.
Yeah, this matchup's going to be like really interesting. Like I said, we've had great storylines overall coming out of Group B throughout the second phase of this first stage. And this is just the conclusion of it. We finally get to see which team ends up, having more growth over these last few months and gets to be rewarded with that major qualifier spot.
Yeah, it's quite a scary tale, and I think that Jesse and Veli put it nicely. Whoever loses gets absolutely nothing. It's no holds barred. You have to pull everything out. All the stops are gone. You better hope you're able to win this one.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we will let you prep for this matchup, bringing it back to our analysts. All right, Veli and Jesse, let's talk about this first matchup.
go.
We're going to start with Disrupt DG. Jesse, we talked about this on Monday. DG, they play up to teams. They also play down to teams. And while DG is undoubtedly a strong team, a fierce competitor in the U.S. division, if they do what they did Monday, game over today. Game over.
Yeah, I mean, Disrupt is it's a team that I've thought about a lot and they keep me up at night trying to figure them out. I think what it is for Disrupt Gaming is they really struggle attacking against aggressive, wild teams. Because when they go up against structured squads, such as Space Station, we saw it in that match, they play quite well and their attacks look really good. It's when their opponents get really unpredictable and they do things that, the best teams don't do, that's when Disrupt Gaming start to struggle. So when they went up against the Sonics, they lost that game. They went 1-8 on their attacks. That's really bad. Even when they played E United, I think they didn't perform as well as people expected them to, even though they won that match. And they went 6-10 on those attacks. So they really do need to get their attacks together when they're playing those aggressive teams. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for this match here.
Okay, and Veli, we know Jesse is a part of the NJR fan club. He is a card-carrying member.
Everybody
but
is.
yes, I was just going to say, we all love
Yes.
this kid. We love watching him dominate, but he cannot carry this team.
And you know what? I feel like their attack suffers greatly because of it. And like Jesse was saying, piggybacking off of him, that was great. Disrupt Gaming, they're the second worst team when it comes to attacking. The worst is the United at 25%. But Disrupt Gaming, they're sitting at 34.6% success rate on attack. And you want to know the reasoning? It's because if NJR isn't explosive off the bat, they don't have anyone else that can really step up. Nyx has done a great job, but he's not the second entry guy. That's why I put a lot of pressure on Shuttle because I've kept saying, I believe in him. He has to be that guy that steps up. They need a playmaker bad to step up for this team or else their attack isn't going to get better. This isn't a bad make of a team. No one needs to get replaced. They just have to play better. And if their attack stays at a 30%, you're not going to have much success in the future because on defense, that's an entirely different story. They're good.
Yeah, and I hate standing up here and calling players bad, but that's kind of part of the job. And Reed, Shuttle, and Retro all have not been stepping up in the way I think they need to as individual players. I don't think the mechanical skill is quite there for a large portion of this team. All three of those players are in the bottom 5 for headshot percentage, and headshot percentage is a difficult stat to read into, but I think it does speak to the fact that, sometimes they're not hitting all of the best shots. They're not hitting those crazy flicks that a lot of the players in this division honestly are hitting with amazing regularity. So I think the individual skill in Disrupt Gaming, NJR aside, is severely lacking, and I hope this gets figured out for these players.
You know what? I was thinking, Jesse, and I'm gonna get backlash from the players on this team, whatever, fans of Disrupt Gaming. I like Disrupt Gaming a lot, okay? I'm under the belief that this team could do so much better on attack if Nyx, when he's aggressive, has been so good this season. I want to see him try playing second entry. He's not a stranger to being an entry fragger for any teams. He played for the Oxygen Boys when they were under Reciprocity. Maybe that could be the spark to help them out there, because everything else they do is great in my book.
Well, interesting suggestions.
I'm gonna get fired on for that, but yeah.
No. I actually thought you all gave them some really constructive criticism. Yeah. We'll have to see what they actually bring to this matchup. But very quickly, we do have a video giving us an even deeper look at Disrupt Gaming. Please take a look.
I've been playing Siege for about 2 years competitively. I played 1 season in year 1, and I took a long break until actually when Lion and Finca came out, and I've been playing ever since.
I began playing all the way PS4 when the game first came out. Wasn't old enough to compete, but I still kind of played competitive, like played scrims, got known, and then after year 2 season 1 finals, Elevate asked me to join, and pretty much how I got started.
So I started all the way back at the beginning, like beta. Some Xbox friends kind of thought it was a cool game, we should try it. Started watching Pro League a bit, started grinding Siege once I got a PC. I got invited to get on a competitive team with the friends I was playing with, and here we are.
The way I got into the game was actually because of Hot and Cold, who's a pro player for Dark Zero currently. And once I got onto Hydra, which was like basically my very first competitive team when I was about 16, I realized that I could potentially go pro.
My early years, I started off just playing casually. I started getting into competitive, like with the underage teams and stuff like that. Eventually, it led to like where I am today.
The biggest thing on Siege is experience and map knowledge and just like game knowledge in general. Since I've been here since year 1, I have a lot of that. I think that transfers over to playing well, and I think that's a big thing in Siege.
I really like the utility aspect of it. I really like that it's not just taking brain dead gunfights. I like that you can counter what the enemy is doing. I like that it's like tactical.
Just how much fun I had in the game and just how much I enjoyed it is kind of what kept me playing.
Motivates me the most, apart from just wanting to be the best, is definitely just like seeing all these great players and just knowing that I can compete with that, if not be better.
All right, and that was a quick look at Disrupt Gaming, but now we pivot to Tempo. And we heard it straight from Dream's mouth last time we talked to him. He was like, we're tired of losing. I'm tired of losing. And I love that. I think sometimes you reach a point where you just got nothing to lose and you go crazy. And if Tempo comes in intrepid, I think this could be really bad for DG. Jesse, sound off.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's a lot going for Tempo Storm that people don't really give them credit for. I think their coaching staff is really, really great. I think their strats and coordination have actually been like better again than people have been giving them credit for. Maybe individual play is another area where you might criticize them, but I thought particularly in their last game against United, Creators was a player that really did surprise me and stepped up in a big way. He went 6-0 in entry in that matchup against United. He had a 1.09 KPR. He really was sort of the shining star of Tempo Storm when they played against EU. And I think that's really nice to see. I've always thought Creators has been a really good player, somewhat of an underrated player. I called him Rookie of the Season for Pro League Season 11. He really did step up there as well. So if he can play with maybe a little bit more consistency and across these games, if maybe somebody like Mark the Shark can get a little bit more consistent throughout these matches as well, I think Tempo Storm have a ton going for them. It's just really getting to that potential that we know they have.
And Veli, you and Jesse were both talking about some of the weaknesses that we have seen with Disrupt. They struggle against chaotic, unpredictable play. They struggle in attack. Yeah. I believe Tempo can definitely capitalize off of these weaknesses and be successful today.
I'm going to tell you now, Tempo's strength is going to be in Creators. So ever since they had that role change 2 series ago, They did extremely well against the United. They did well in general the last 2 series. Creators has been a standout. And him fragging on defense, especially as Romer, where he just flicks his mouse around after getting the kill. The man catches fire every single time. If his roam game is on point today, I can see Disrupt struggling big time against roamers like they usually do.
All right, well, gentlemen, it is prediction time. So, who y'all going with? Veli, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat first. Who you going with? Who you picking?
I'm not gonna lie, this is extremely hard. Both of these teams, I feel like Disrupt Gaming, they're a sleeper for top 4, but they still have heavy struggle points.
Yeah.
I can't go against them because the potential is obviously there. I keep saying potential. I hate it. I'm going with NJR with hope that everyone else stands out when it comes to just second entry and everything else for this roster. Disrupt Gaming, they're going to have to prove me right this time around.
Yeah, you know what? If NJR comes out strong and the rest of the team meets him, I mean, they're lethal.
You know what?
They are I agree.
I kind of want NJR to have a mediocre game so everyone else can step up and shut me the hell up. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. I would kind of love to see that too, but again, we'll have to see what actually plays out. Okay, Big Brain, what you thinking?
I gotta echo everything Veli just said. I think this is a really hard game to call. I really like what I've seen from Tempo Storm recently, but I think Disrupt Gaming have shown a pattern of losing to a specific type of team, and I don't believe Tempo Storm is that type of team. It's really gonna be on Tempo Storm to adjust their playstyle a little bit, get kind of aggressive, get a little loose on defense, give creators a longer leash, give Sloppy a longer leash on defense, and go wild. I don't particularly expect that to happen, so I'm going to go with Disrupt Gaming, but the potential is 100% there for Tempo Storm.
I will say this, so if we get a clip of Dream clapping at least 3 times, that's going to be the lucky number, and Tempo just might prove me and Jesse wrong.
That video is so cute. Aw, I know, so much fun. But all right, gentlemen, Disrupt versus Tempo, that is coming up. Super excited about that. But again, for everyone at home, please make sure that you follow us on our Twitter account, on our Instagram account, and also we just have so much fun ahead of us. The community poll question, we got Blue and Stokes on deck, so don't go anywhere. Disrupt versus Tempo coming up. We'll be right back.
Here we go now. Here we go now.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our next matchup of the day here. We're going to have Tempo Storm going up against Disrupt, and it's bound to be a very interesting series. We talked a lot about this before when we were on camera just for those few moments about how these teams have been building themselves up quite efficiently, especially during Phase 1. Disrupt is looking to improve on that as they move into Phase 2, and to some degree look to be a pretty strong team, potentially the favorite of that group coming out of Phase 1. Now, however, they're still having to fight for second place as another team took it instead, and now Tempo stands in their way to try and claim the major qualifier spot. Stokes, what do we think of this matchup as we get prepared to jump into it here in the next few moments?
Well, the stylistics of Disrupt and Tempo are a touch varied, especially when looking at Tempo and how they stack up against Disrupt. Disrupt is a touch of a one-man army when it comes to a lot of the entry ability. NJR has taken up the mantle. He's been doing such a fantastic job. We have seen him get shut down, especially in the last matchup that they have, and didn't really bode well for Disrupt, and that's what scares me about this roster, is if Shuttle and Nyx don't show up in that frag department, it could spell disaster.
There's a few other things as well that we're going to have to talk about with these teams before we get too close to match time. But before we get into all of that, it's time for our community question, of course. We want to know which team you guys think is going to pick up the most entry kills in this matchup. Be sure to go head over onto our social channels, specifically our Twitter account at R6 Esports NA, and be sure to submit your vote. We'll have the results during an analysis test segment a little bit later on during the series. And so expanding upon that as well, hopefully in a few minutes here, we can start to look at the map pool, and while we're waiting for those to come up, we can start to talk a little bit more about maps, and I'll lead it to you, Stokes. Where do you think specifically we're going to have this series going?
Man, you're going to put me on the spot for maps? Oh, I don't really know.
Well, just for your general thoughts,
the thing,
you know, just let's see what you're thinking.
The hardest thing about this is, like you and I were discussing before the break, Tempo Storm's map pool is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
So
this is
you're good to go.
This seems to be an issue that's been, plaguing them for like this entire phase, where they don't necessarily seem, at least from my observations, to have like that really strong core map that they can go to. And if they have had it, well, then it's definitely been scouted out by their opponents, and it's been getting banned every time, unfortunately. So they're still looking for that. And then even beyond that, right? You can't just rely on one core map. You need to expand upon that. It doesn't really seem like Tempo Storm have the depth to necessarily play into that as of yet, is my point coming out of that one. We do have their picks in, though. Consulate and Clubhouse are going to be the first two maps that will play out, and the third one should be coming up in just a moment here.
And the last one's going to be Coast, with Disrupt starting defense, so not a bad map pool at all. Looking through Tempo's maps, though, this is clearly some uncharted territory. Consulate, they don't have any plays on in the last 3 months. Same as Coastline. The only map that they do have some plays on is Clubhouse, which they've won one and lost one. Those were the matches against E United and Sonics.
The good news for Tempo, talking about the map pool depth issue that we were bringing up before, these aren't necessarily like new maps at all. We had a lot of Oregon and theme park play happening earlier on in the season, and that, even for just these two teams, and that may have been tripping them up a little bit if they were at all unfamiliar with their play styles and how specifically they were going to approach those two maps as a team. This is obviously going back to the basics, maps we've had in the pool for a pretty good amount of time, so I would hope that both of these teams are going to be good and comfortable on those maps, just considering that factor alone. But we'll be figuring that out right now, as it's time to get into the first map, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to it, as Consulate is our very first map.
And it's a fun map indeed. One of the staples of Pro League. Consulate's been in since the dawn of time, and it hasn't changed too much either. The only thing that's really changed is a couple of operator bans here and there, but the first ban we're going to have is the Capital by Tempo Storm.
A lot of window play, a lot of angles where Capitao is able to shut things down with both the micro smokes and the incendiaries that he has to toss out there. So it makes sense why we see him ban. Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's a pretty common ban here on this map. Ash is going to be the next one. An operator that normally would be, blasphemous to ban out unless you're target banning someone, but it seemed to become more and more common as of late.
She's just a very comfortable operator, and a lot of people are so damn good on her. And well for Disrupt, I think the ban is more respect towards tempo and what they're able to do with their entries with Ash, as well as NJR doesn't need Ash to perform. We've seen him do just as well, if not better, on the Jackal.
Okay, we're going to have Valkyrie and Maestro be our final two bans. Maestro, of course, being a pretty common ban here in the US division and across Siege as a global esport, and Valkyrie as well, just because of the number of windows on this map, along with the prop clutter that tends to happen here. There's a lot of good hiding spots for Valcam. So oftentimes defenders are going to choose to not have to deal with that. They'll get rid of it. That also reduces the amount of IQ that you would generally need to bring into play for the attacker side. Opens up some more utility potentially for the attackers themselves to use.
And definitely like the pickup, as well as DG bringing the Nomad just for those flank watches. I feel like every time we get on Consulate, we always end up having to talk about the staircases and the importance of the roam game on this map, especially with the effectiveness of Pulse here. And this is really where Pulse got his bread and butter of staying below and getting all of the intel throughout the map. Pulse can actually play the bottom floor and walk all the way throughout the entire map while reading all the way to the top floor. So he can get almost all the intel your team possibly needs to win you around.
Well, taking a look at the setup here, because it's going to be the first floor hold to start things out for tempo. A lot of emphasis going to be going onto the bathroom that Sloppy's currently holding downstairs. The Mira also in play. It's an operator that oftentimes will end up getting banned out. So tempo do have quite a bit of play possibility being opened up to them as a result of this operator being left into the pool. And we're going to see at least one of those mirrors go down on the inside of the bathroom, more than likely. The second one's a bit more open in terms of where Crazy wants to play it specifically. So we'll hopefully see that in the next few moments.
I like the Mira setup here. We usually, as you said, see that one on the soft panel, which just helps with or Sloppy's position. You can actually see out towards the actual lobby area, possibly get some kills from there. I'm really, really skeptical of how DG is going to handle this. They might actually handle this quite well, but just with how early on we're going to lobby, it could be kind of a shell shock getting into this.
Taking a look here, Disrupt definitely with some players outside the windows nice and quickly and getting prepared to see if they can catch anyone from tempo. Still being out of position from setting up earlier on in the round, but that's not happening right now. Also got Dream setting up. This is typically the job of a smoke. If he can get those gas grenades through the floorboards there down to the front door, it can be a pretty good denial mechanic. But at the moment, Dream's going to hold it. But the top-down angle is still going to be just as good for denial, but he'll obviously need to hit his shots here. The rest of the team, like I said before, has a pretty heavy focus on defending from both the yellow stairs and this bathroom, where we've got both the Wamai and Crazy on the Mira currently hiding out.
Well, Disrupt working on their entry, trying to find as much information as possible, but traveling quite slow. Stun grenades in, might have a free kill here for Dream if anybody steps up to the plate, but doesn't seem like anybody wants to just yet. One frag grenade in and the second, so NJR now out of all of his utility. All he now has is frag grenades and that sledgehammer.
Still no luck from anybody on the Disrupt camp. Has been trying to work their way in from the south windows here. No one from tempo seeming to give them an inch, and even if they are, they're trying to get aggressive against these two players on rappel as well. You can see Sloppy has been looking for an opportunity to try and get aggro on this window for quite a while. He'll check it for the rappels. Won't hear it, but it does more than likely hear the player on the ground and takes a long angle. He gets a spot onto at least one player for a split second there, just not really able to connect any shots. Saw NJR get hit like once or twice. I'm not even sure if that was the same player that he was trying to hit, but either way, it's minimal damage, not anything that either team really needs to be worried about right now.
I said I was skeptical, and this is exactly why. Disrupt's very slow to the punch here, and actually no punch even being wound up. The only damage dealt to anyone is actually to NJR. They've dumped most of their utility into the site. Every bit of secondary utility on the offenders is gone. All of it is gone right now with only 45 seconds remaining. If there's any other thing that lives currently, they're in a lot of trouble. Nyx also gets picked up by Mark inside of lobby.
Mark with some nice aggressive plays, finally opens up some play potential for tempo here and continues to push it even further. The first trade that we'll see from Disrupt is going to come from Shuttle trying to clear upstairs, but even he's going to get immediately traded out by another player that's holding on yellow for the rotate. Retro does bring Disrupt back into it, now with a position in sight to play off of too, and a nice secondary find, but ultimately it's for naught as Creators and Crazy show up from that bathroom position and shut down the final members pushing in from DG.
Disrupt. Come on, you got to get inside of the building. That was their biggest problem there. We didn't actually have a true entry by Disrupt. It was mostly repels and waiting for Tempo to come to them. But as we all know, that's the defense's job. They're the ones that have to wait with open arms and see what the offense are going to do and how they're going to get aggressive. DG expected Tempo to do so, and Tempo just won it out on patience.
Tempo's going to continue to play on the non-usual sites that we see teams go to for their first and second site. Normally we see basement and second floor being played, although that's been shrinking in its percentage as of late, as we've been starting to see more and more teams go for this route by starting out on either the split site or lobby and then going to the other one of those two for their second attempt. That's what we're going to see Tempo do now as they take on the split site this round coming up.
This site is a lot more difficult to handle as well from the defensive side, just because you have to spread your utility out quite a lot, as well as you have to work downstairs quite well with that pulse scanner or have any intel inside of the actual teller's office to be able to prevent that plant. For Disrupt, though, there's quite a few ways that you can handle this site, whether it be starting from Big Garage and working your way across downstairs, or, converging on that top floor and working your way into admin. We'll have to see, but we definitely need an entry here to be able to get these picks that we need.
5 seconds left.
To see Creator still on the pulse as well. We're going to be looking to cause some problems from downstairs with the amount of clearing that needs to be done. Creators will have to be a very big focus if they can try to lock him down off-site or away from the majority of the team at all. Even that may be a difficult task to accomplish here, given the nature of the split site itself. Either way, we've got Disrupt out on the board, quickly moving over towards Visa. Take control here. We may see them try to rappel up and take admin first into a top clear, just to be safe. The Tempo has not committed anybody to this second floor to try and dive down on them later on in the round. Once that's clear, they can then start to focus on the actual site. Most teams will end up going for the first floor site, but if things get bad, we might also see them try and sneak in and plant downstairs as well.
I like this setup here from Tempo. Good utility usage, especially with these castle barricades to limit sight lines for the offenders to be able to pick up anyone on rotation. Some good stuff. They're definitely going to need some intel to work through here. Hatch is reinforced up top as well, which could prove to be very helpful. The only hard destruction they have on the offense is retro, so they're going to have to pick and choose where they want to use those exothermics.
All right, in goes DG. They will start to take control. Starting things off with the admin take. Goes off without a hitch. As of course you guys can see, there's not really much resistance here from Tempo, so that's always going to go out without too much of an issue. NJR is going to pop open that little wall next to the staircases, and the first Nitro Cell is going to find its way out into the open here. Is there a follow-up from anybody else on the defensive side? No, there is not, but there is another lone hatch that's going to be brought open there. That allows better access to the first floor site, and hopefully some capability to push here for Disrupt. One thing that Tempo always has to be worried about is that this strategy does bring 4 Nitro Cells with it. Only 2 of them, or only 1 of them, excuse me, has been used right now. So there's a lot of issues that could pop up if they try to plant in a soft destructible spot.
Yeah, there's literally 0 barbed wire on the defense. The only other utility type that we have for secondary utility is that proximity alarm. We don't see it used very often, but it can have some influence over the round, especially for pre-placed Nitro Cells, or if you're looking for information that you can't exactly see above you. Say that Pulse is dead and you need to know if someone rotated into tellers and is planning default. Well, we got a proximity alarm for that. That thing beeps, somebody tosses a Nitro Cell, and somebody goes sky high. So only 40 seconds remain, or excuse me, 45 seconds remain for Disrupt to get things done here. They've taken the top floor, already have the hatch opened as well. Now they need to work themselves into tellers, but they still have 3 landmines in the pockets of the defenders.
And no real plan, it seems, from Disrupt on how necessarily to try and fish those Nitro Cells out. There is going to be the first plant attempt coming in right now from Retro, though, as he drops down and goes for it. Nitro Cells will be following it up in just a moment, but no! It's just going to be straight-up frags coming in on the rest of the team. Retro is going to be the only one that gets dropped here as Disrupt try to clean up the basement very quickly. Tempo still in this, however, as the plant will now go down, but their 2 remaining players have to try and find some way to get aggressive from their basement positions and swing out from the retake. That's going to be easily the hardest part of this, and it's not even going to get started. Great follow-up from DG. Definitely took them a moment to get themselves prepped for it, but when the execute came in, it came in pretty hard there, and unfortunately no one else on Tempo was able to really stop it or find sufficient enough trades to make that retake viable.
That was a great hold from Tempo Storm. Not very many errors. Some good EMP usage, though, by the offense to stop that cardiac sensor in Pulse's hands to limit his intel. But Instead, he still got that. Didn't really matter at the end of the day when it came down to it because the offense did such a good job on the late entry there with Shuttle. I don't know exactly how he got downstairs. I thought it was lower spiral, but there was a pulse play, or there at least was a defender playing there most of the time. So he had to get access from somewhere else. Nevertheless, though, Shuttle works his way downstairs, gets those 2 big kills that we saw onto the Pulse, and Mozzie ends up picking up a round for Disrupt.
Yeah, that was gonna be my biggest criticism coming out of that round. If we ended up seeing Tempo take it, was that there's just like 0 basement pressure from Disrupt. But they made a fool out of me real quick before I even had a chance to say that, with the way that they flipped the script and got the pressure going downstairs so efficiently and so all of a sudden very late into the round. Great pickups by Disrupt there to save what was going to be a little bit of a dodgy attempt at an execute had they tried to do that without those pickups early on. I'm going to tie the game up at 1-1, and that's going to take us into the normal basement site now for Tempo's 3rd defense.
And Disrupt more than likely know where they're going. I don't think that Tempo wants to play that split side again, so we're also going to see an adjustment here from Nyx away from the air jab wielding Nomad and over to the Candela wielding Ying. We'll see how well this goes, but it definitely could have quite an impact on the round. Ying carries with her quite a bit of utility, as well as quite a long stick with that LMG. You can pre-fire almost anything you possibly need with that amount of mag capacity.
Bit of a slow start again from DG. Not that we would expect anything else, given the way that the first 2 rounds have gone. They've got a lot of work to do here anyway, but thankfully the length of that work is going to be shortened quite a bit. As we have Thatcher available for play, there's no counter to the trick coming in from Sloppy. It's very hard to do it on this wall anyway, and Sloppy's also going to have that nade right in front of him when he tried to dash in front of it. So that darts his hopes of trying to get that trick off very, very quickly. That would have been too late anyway. Disrupt now have the first middle panel open. Since it's the mid panel, they're probably not going to try to open one of the side ones. We'll just see them try to work off of that one to get into the site.
Well, this is the terrible thing right now for Tempo. DG have all of the intel they possibly need. We just saw 3 drones inside of Garage. They're spinning around, as you guys can all see on your screen. All of Garage is currently clear. The only saving grace that they truly have is these Mira setups inside of Kitchen as well as security. They also have a potential drop from Bathroom. We'll have to see if DG even wants to play with Piano since they've gotten this panel open already, but I assume we're more than likely going to see an adjustment. But no, I'm lying. The Candela's in. Tempo with the kill. That's Sloppy. Yet another Retro taking quite a bit of damage from the Toxic Babes that have already been used, but it's a rush from the Ying. Nyx is in. He's trying to kill the Mira, goes for the flick but can't land it, ends up dying right after, even though he ends up picking up his frag. Diffuser not down, and it's all left up to Shuttle after a bare knuckle brawl inside of the Garage that goes back and forth.
Shuttle here just unfortunately taking guesses as to players that may or may not be peeking him from the mirror windows as he tries to entry in. Gets up to the white van at least, so making some progress, and still with over a minute remaining, he's got plenty of time to play this out. Time isn't an issue, it's a lack of info and general awareness as to how to try and play this out. That's ultimately going to come back to haunt him in a 1v3, but he's being smart about it right now, being very careful about how he takes each and every step. He knows that someone's going to eventually try and swing from either Cafeteria or Yellow, likely both at the same time. So he's hoping to catch at least one of them and then quickly try and draw back for the trade. That's why you see him swinging between the 2 angles so consistently. He'll stun out the one. Again, expecting this player to swing at any moment, just not happening right now. He's doing a great job of trying to build for something, but unfortunately, no one on Tempo is really taking the bait here. This has got to be frustrating for him to try and play this out and just have no one, unfortunately, in his view sight the entire time. Crazy. Will eventually swing from Yellow without him checking it and take him down outright.
It's a bait shot, but we're not fishing, John. We're looking for kills here. So it didn't end up working out for him. But for Disrupt, that offense, not the greatest when they finally went for that execute. And I have a little bit of something to say. I will say that, so don't set me on fire here. But they should have just planted inside of the smoke. They legitimately should have just thrown one of the smokes towards Black Car and made an area where he was safe to plant, because most of the Toxic Babes were dumped towards White Van. If they made an adjustment or had an earlier inkling of information to say, okay, let's just plant on the other side, let's do something a little bit unorthodox and try and see if we can make it work, I feel like that would have went a touch better for them. But again, we're just comparing apples to oranges at this point. The rush really didn't work out for them. They weren't able to get the picks they truly needed. The Mira placement and Mira play from Tempo Storm, though, immaculate.
Tempo are going to bypass, at least on the first run around here, of trying to go for the second floor in its entirety. Seeing a couple teams choose that as their site they just don't want to play on, and it seems like Tempo is going to choose that one for this one. Still a chance we might see them swing it into the picture a little bit later on here on their defensive half. But right now, it seems like they are sticking with the downstairs sites. So back over to Lobby here. They'll reattempt the first one.
Well, not too much of a change up here. We'll see if DG can actually get in the building this time. That would be a sign of progress if they're able to work their way in on this lobby push. I think that they're going to be ready for it this time, though. I would assume that they're going to go for a top clear, but we'll see what they have in the cards. They do have Nyx back on the Nomad, so still worried about that roam pressure from Tempo.
Again, though, a very quiet start from Disrupt. Not going to be really any pressure at all towards the site itself at the beginning here. Normally, or at least in the last round, we had those two players posturing up at the outside windows on the south side of the building to try and put pressure the entire round. Didn't really lead to much. So if they're trying to move away from this, I commend them for the effort, as they definitely need to change up their overall strategy for this attack. What they did in the last round absolutely did not work for them, unfortunately.
I like this a lot, actually. Droning right up into the lobby, into Visa office. This is the office I always tend to forget, even when I play the game. So, anyways, rotating up into Visa. Could possibly go upstairs as well, but this is a scary thing. Mark's downstairs, and it appears that he's been misdroned. They've already worked themselves upstairs with NJR, and he's already holding an angle at the top of admin. Now, the troublesome thing is since Pulse is downstairs, they're more than likely going to know that he's on the admin staircase. Oh, he just needs to move a little bit closer. There it is. That's the bead we need. Mark playing so safe downstairs, they didn't even drone him out.
Yeah, so that could be a pretty crucial misstep. Now, I would hope they assume that he's still down there somewhere, but potentially their quick clear of everywhere but archives might have made them assume that, nah, it's all right. Either way, we're going to see an attempted pop here from Dream. Does get a good amount of damage off of NJR, but fails to take him down. So he's still going to be alive. Tries to fall back to take the next fight, but Mark gets the better of him, and he'll also quickly retreat back down to the basement now that Tempo has the opening man advantage.
And that's the problem there for Disrupt. They get up to the point where they want to go for those entries, but it seems that they just don't have the supporting angles to do so. Even right now, they had NJR on the admin staircase, but it seems that Dream is thwarting everything that DG throws at them. Nyx, the next one off the board as he peeks in from long desk. We're actually going to have Reed jump on a suicide balcony, and it's called that for a reason because it's almost a death wish. You have to rappel off of this, either up or down. There's no way to hop off. So Reed is now stuck for the time being until he rappels.
Tempo at the moment doing a great job reading Disrupt like a book. That cardiac sensor helping out in huge fashion to make that happen. As Sloppy picks up the next frag. Going to take himself a contact fight on one of the windows there. Finds the kill as well in pretty clean fashion. So Disrupt now down to only 2 of their players remaining here. Reed is also already at half of his HP. Things are not looking good for Disrupt. It does appear as though, at least in Reed's case, they're going to try and brute force through the front door here. I'm unsure if they have Diffuser even at this point either. I don't see it on either one of them, so...
Yeah, this is more than likely going to be a very unfortunate last 15 seconds. I don't see this going well. You don't see this going well. It's going to have to be drastic. Reed gets the refrag. Nitro Cell out. Is that going to be it? Nope, Reed's still alive inside of this Hell in a Cell, but it's more of a handicap match here between these guys as it's 4-on-1, and Reed's definitely going to get the short end of the stick. Tempo Storm up 4-1, or actually 3-1, excuse me, right now.
We got the first clapping clip, so... I think it was Veli that brought that up. We're looking good on that quota for today.
Listen, I had one in the back of my mind for if you ever got a triple kill, and we've talked about it too much now. I can't make any clapping memes.
All right, guys. So into round number 5 here. One of the last rounds Tempo will have on their defensive half. They're probably not too worried about the switch coming up here, as things are looking pretty good for them so far on the scoreboard here. It's over to the split site, where we did see the one and only round so far that has been won by DG. So let's see if Pulse... let's see if Tempo and the rest of their team read the wrong thing there, has a better strategy to try and close this one up.
I believe they'll be more aware of what DG's going to attempt, and this is something that I noticed before, just looking through stats and things along those lines for Disrupt, looking back through their previous matches. They really like this solo entry with multiple drones for information to try and get the entry in safe, but the bad news about that is a lot of the times that can get traded out, or when you end up running into a scenario where you need supporting angles like we did the last time on Projector, that very last round, you have to sit there and wait. Because when you run into somebody with a shotgun and you go to swing a door, you're more than likely going to get killed in one shot, and you want to be able to be traded. Disrupt keeps running into this blockade, but they're not able to get around it, and until they're able to fix this on the offense, I don't really see these rounds going well for them, all except for those rounds where they are able to move into the post plant.
Folks, let's find out and see if Disrupt will still have the winning strategy for the attack here on the split site. They'll be able to go 2 for 2 on that one, or is Tempo Gonna bring a little bit of a better stance this time, and being able to fend off the late entry attempts to clear out the basement hold. That last time allowed Disrupt to not only get the plant down, but ultimately win the round, as it prevented Tempo's remaining players from being able to retake due to the amount of control that Disrupt had after those entries. Basement seems like the starting point here as well for Disrupt. 2 to 3 players right at the edge of Garage, getting ready to throw quite a bit of pressure in this direction, hopefully to clear out the players who would normally in these circumstances be going to those Nitro Cell kills.
A bit unfortunate early on here from DG. They are going to go for the big Garage push here, but they expend some X-Kairos very early on a Mira that's actually not being used. There was no one inside of security office at all. They hadn't droned it yet and instead blew it open, so now Tempo Storm know exactly where they're coming from. Everyone knows how loud hard destruction is, and Tempo Storm definitely have an ear for it.
Disrupt making some pretty good progress with 2 minutes remaining. They are going to have to be careful of top-down play, though. Still crazy upstairs completely, along with the players that may still be moving around on the first floor as well, that are going to stop the basement plan attempt should this be Disrupt's endgame plan here. You can see the Dream is already rotated up to accommodate himself to stop that, especially if the push comes down the main hole, as he's got an angle, I think, to punish that. Still waiting to see exactly where Disrupt are going to try and channel this. A lot of emphasis on drone and intel work in general here from Disrupt. That's something that we've been seeing carried over from their other matches as well. They emphasize a very heavy amount of intel before they even attempt to start pressuring the site. That can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing if things like this go missed. Creators with a great angle against Reed takes him out, and he may not be done just yet either. There's another player that's right around the corner from his POV here, and if he peeks just a tad too far out, Creators has probably got himself another kill. This is a tough angle to shoot back against, and there you go. That's exactly why the server blocks a good 90% of it from Creators' end, but Creators' hell has full view of the enemies on the other side. Second kill picked up for him. Another player going to go down at the bottom of Visa steps. Mark will claim that one. Nix is finally able to get the trade onto Creators as he works his way into basement storage. Now again, a disadvantage that Disruptor going to have to try to come back from, and it's just not looking palatable. Retro, some patience, gets him a good find against Mark. Where are the other 3 that still need to be picked up, along with the diffuser, which is now locked in the basement, with him only having 30 seconds to retrieve it?
Even though we are down to the 30-second mark, this was actually a very fast-moving round. Props to Tempo Storm on their ability to deny intel. It's been pretty crazy so far. Retro's still in the clutch here in this 1 versus 3, though, as he transitions downstairs towards Locker Hallway. First kill onto Crazy. Definitely winnable with this Mira open, but more than likely going to get hurt. He sprints, and Sloppy catches him off guard as his gun down. Tempo Storm continue their reign on defense.
And Creators again getting a lot of the props for that one with the hold on the inside of Archives. Unfortunately, DG just not able to realize that that setup is going to lead to so much carnage against them when they try to push main hall. And as a result, we see those kills getting picked up. 4-1 lead now. A dominant performance so far here from Tempo from the defensive half of this first map. Going to be going into the double basement site here for their final defense to see if they can make it a 5-1. Or if finally DG can get another round on the board for themselves to make this a bit more competitive at 2-4 and give them a much better chance of being able to swing back in the second half.
That round, just overall for Disrupt, I would say was not the best showing. They kind of stepped into a snare very early on, and we talked about it early on in the round about how they dispatched that Mira. It's not bad to dispatch that Mira in security at all. The only thing is that since there's no one playing it or no one there to combat you from that Mira, you're able to drone a little bit farther and also not expend that utility, which is so loud, which gave away what Tempo's plan was. No one knew that they were attempting for Garage yet. They were still rotating around. It seemed that they still had a touch of setup left to do. Not very much, but just enough. And DG ended up getting read out because of that. Some great positions there from Tempo Storm to be able to anchor the basement site. And Disrupt is just going to have to get this figured out. Those 2 early picks under Reed and NJR specifically hindered them quite a lot, especially in the information game, since they already had lost quite a few drones.
All right, well, we've got Disrupt coming out for the last time on attack here in just a couple moments. See the final bits of that setup there. Nothing too crazy considering it's a basement hold. We've got your usual setups for reinforcements. A few late ones coming in here as Mark's just probably going to put that final, or actually both of his mirror windows still need to be placed down. So I'm going to speed that up a little bit. Should have plenty of time ultimately with the hold also still being there on the garage panels. And Sloppy hopefully being able to at least trick out one of them this time. Although to be fair, tricking is a very difficult thing to do on a bandit right now in this game, or at least do it successfully.
Yeah, we've seen bandit swapped out quite often, all except for truly CCTV on Clubhouse, and that's because he has to approach the wall to put those bandit batteries down. And since he has to do that, if there's any soft destruction around him, it's very easy to kill bandit. Whatever panel you're going for, you just open directly above it, and, well, no more bandit, unless he's able to kill the person that's holding the angle.
Basically, if NJR or whoever's the sledge on the attacking team gets access to piano, bandit can no longer hold. And that's exactly what we just saw happen right there. NJR destroying the wall right now. Slobby's going to try and play against it a little bit, it looks like here, as he's trying to see if he can get a quick headshot off against NJR when he blows it up. But no, it's actually going to be a nitro cell as NJR slams the hammer down in the wrong spot, sends him flying into the sky. And the first kill of the round is going to go over towards Tempo.
I think there's only been one round so far where Tempo's had less than 3 C4s. This is a very aggressive style of Siege, and I'm really enjoying seeing it because the patience is still there for Tempo. They're only capitalizing on situations where they have the upper hand, and that's exactly what you want to see in Siege because there's so much that goes into those little intricate gunfights and all those things, especially with utility now. It's just a lot of moving parts, so I like seeing how Tempo's playing currently.
Well, 5v4, so you can expect them to get pretty passive from this point forward. Now that they have the man advantage to play off of, although that could be changing in a second. Mark trying to dodge death here as he backs up from the mirror window. Looks like he successfully got out of the kill box that Disrupt was trying to put him into, and will survive to hopefully skirmish a little bit later on in the round itself. Your window's still up as well, so we can try to wide swing off of that. Just has to be a little careful of his forward position due to the hole that's in the floor. That's why he goes to that last little shotgun blast to make sure that that tiny piece of wall doesn't get in the way of his shots if he has to try and swing from a longer range here. Oh, we are going to see the mirror window in cafeteria get blown out now, actually. So Mark will have to be a little bit careful with his peaks. Dream, however, still has his to play off.
Yeah, there's also a big problem here. The only thing to stop plants is nitro cells, and I don't know if Mark's going to be close enough. The plant's going down as well. They're trying to force their way in. Retro's actually going to get out as he skips out of the garage. They get the kill onto Nyx on yellow, but it's traded out. Diffuser now being diffused by Mark as he's got the scanner on it. He's already halfway through. They're doing a very good job of defending it. They're locking it down. Oh my God, Tempo in the post plant. Add that as another hash mark to their post plant wins.
Man, you gotta give credit to like the very like fight or flight nature that Tempo took that retake with. Normally teams are gonna take a second to think to themselves like, all right, how exactly do we approach this? And they'll use a good amount of the time to figure out exactly how they want to retake. But the second that thing was confirmed on the ground, Tempo just rolled out of cafeteria and security and immediately started going for the retake. I don't know if they already had intel on the last few players, which is probably what spurred them on if it was the case. But yeah, very, very bold to try and just rush out like that. You could very easily get shut down if you're not careful with making plays like that. So great stuff for Tempo to not only do that, but have it work so well for them to set up that fifth round. They've got a crushing scoreline now, and it's all up to DG to make a massive impact in the second half to bring it back.
Amazing, amazing round there for Tempo Storm, as you just said. And actually, off the back of that, John, I have a very fun fact for you. Tempo Storm actually has the second most disables inside of the entire league. They were just tied with Oxygen, but now they're truly in second as they overtake them. So that's quite a cool stat. Well, actually, we'll have to see what everything compiles after what we just had with Oxygen to see if they actually did end up passing them. But before today, they were tied at 6. So actually pretty cool that they're second for that. But the sad thing is they actually have the least plants in North America with only 7. Yeah, that was the next stat.
So just don't plan against them, right? And then you'll win.
Just don't plan, forehead. It's fine.
Yeah, just kill them. Yeah, obviously that's not the case. But we'll get into this next round here, where once again we're going to see DG also not necessarily trending towards what at least used to be the meta for site selection, and they're also going to go to the split site to start things out here.
Okay, well, split site for DG. Extremely similar setup to what Tempo Storm was bringing, all except for the Kaid. We didn't see the Kaid brought by them. I want to see how they're going to use his utility, because we're already into the round here, and Reed has not expended either of those Electro Claws. So I don't know exactly what he wants to lock down with these.
Is it the hatch on second floor?
All right, so they're going to lock down the electrical room hatch.
Yeah. Then there's the one upstairs, too, isn't there, in admin? Yeah. So maybe I don't think he has a way to get to that.
He'd have to run up the staircase to get to it.
Yeah, there's not even any destruction or anything down there. So
yeah, they also didn't end up bringing a castle either, which could prove to be difficult to play around, just because there's a lot of cutoffs here for the offense to use to get some kills on these rotating members of DG.
It's So he's just trying to dive basement hatches, basically. Seems like why they brought that. So we'll obviously touch back on that later if it becomes relevant. Just for those of you who are curious about how exactly the Kaid was going to play into this round, now you know. We've got Tempo, of course, already in the building. They've moved in similarly to Disrupt with an emphasis on the upstairs clear first. And meanwhile, similarly to Tempo, we're going to see Disrupt also bringing, well, not 4, but 5 Nitro cells to the table. They've foregone the motion sensor and are just going to go all in on that strategy.
Anything you can do, I can do better. And, well, that doesn't really work out for Disrupt, but Tempo Storm all over the top floor already. The Pulse, though, once again, proving his worth. Cardiac sensor out. Hand in hand, getting a lot of intel. What a shot and what a read from Dream. Oh my god. He expected both of them. The refrag tries to come through, but Nyx is quickly dealt with, dispatched, and Tempo Storm are already ready for a plant.
I gotta wonder what that looks like from NJR's perspective too. It barely looked like there was even any holes in the wall for him to try and see through. So curious if he even got a chance to try and shoot back at that opponent right there. A lot of intel coming in from Disrupt's camp right now as they are using the pulse to try and gather it. The nade goes down, tries to connect onto Reed, does get some damage onto him, but unfortunately is not going to find the kill. Another kill is found from Dream, however, against Retro as Disrupt's defensive force continues to fall. The Nitro cells are there, but ultimately it is all left down to Shuttle. Still 40 seconds left. He's got an easy denial right here. Second denial of the round that Disrupt has managed to pull off, but ultimately he's going to get swung on from down, I believe, the Visa stairs. Creators will pick up the last kill, and Tempo will claim round number 7 and their initial map point.
He clapped, chat! He clapped! We got the claps.
That's number 2 that we've got now.
That's awesome.
I think.
I think he clapped like 3 times, though. Oh.
We've gotten two clap clips from him tonight.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. What a round from Tempo Storm, and specifically, what a round from Dream. He kept it alive there, walked throughout the entire map, taking out every single person that peeked him. And, I mean, just to, show you how skilled Dream was in that instance, I don't know if they already had the intel or what have you on the kitchen wall downstairs, but what a shot onto NJR. If you actually saw bullet holes at that range, that man's got eyes that they need to study. I don't even know.
yeah, that was my thoughts on it as well. It was like what NJR's perspective on the other side of that would have looked like. Either way, impressive pickups from Tempo. Great entry power too. I mean, Disrupt, they're probably going to have to play this a little bit more carefully now, given how the opener to that round went. They probably don't want a chance losing players on roam this early on. The problem is, as you said at the very beginning of this map, roaming is so essential to winning on this map as a defender. So they are going to have to bring it out a little bit. They'll just have to be very, very careful about where they try to apply that pressure against Tempo, given the entry power they just showed in that last round.
Yeah, also something else that I want to talk about here, John, something that we haven't talked about just yet throughout this series is NJR's performance. We're 7 rounds in. The guy doesn't even have a kill yet. He's 0-2-6. And in case you guys haven't been watching this season, and this is just the first day back, first of all, hello, welcome to the NAL. And secondly, NJR is the best rookie in the entire NAL right now. He actually holds first for entry, 3rd for KD, and he's tied 4th for clutches in the entire league. So him having a silent day can definitely be a cause for what's going on with Disrupt.
And it's been Shuttle trying to step things up for the rest of Disrupt. In the meanwhile, he leads at 8-6. Not too much further ahead, meanwhile, on the tempo. Just that the consistency is there across all 5 of their players when you compare their average scoreline to that of Disrupts. There's not as much of a divide, I guess you could say, between the top player and the lowest player on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's very difficult as well, just because NJR is the only positive player on the entire team. Well, currently speaking, we'll see what happens after this series. But prior to this series, NJR was the only positive player on the entire roster throughout the entire season. So again, to have him go 0-2-6, not something you're going to see every day. We definitely need to start seeing him pop off here. If NJR doesn't wake up soon, this series could be over in 2.
And in fact, it's going to be over in just one more here if Tempo is able to take it for themselves. The first map, anyway, will be all but done. Dream starts us off well yet again here as he's able to find NJR, and unfortunately, that 0 record continues to get even worse as he's going to get dropped first this time. Retro is on yellow, looking for an attempt at a trade if it is presented. Nyx also hoping to get lucky if someone on Tempo is not checking their feet and ends up running by the drone hull next to the garage. Moment. Not going to see that from anybody on Tempo, though, as the focus is on getting that garage open as quickly as possible.
Well, Disrupt still playing patiently downstairs. All anchor all anchor operators still remaining downstairs as well. Don't have really anyone that could possibly rotate anywhere, but it's already been locked down by Tempo already. So probably not the best idea. We'll see how they do at preventing this plant. Crazy now getting panel 3 here, so he's able to plant in front of the white van if it's possible. But DG look like they want to get aggressive. Nyx is playing up by the black car. They really don't have a sight line on him either, but he does have that barbed wire, which could possibly give him away. He's going to impact through the drone hole. Very smart utility usage here to keep that panel locked.
And it also took Tempo a really long time to figure out where the electric wall was, and that's wasted off their clock. Tempo's going to be panicking a lot now to try to get on the site, and that could obviously cause mistakes. Doesn't seem like that's what's happening, though. Mark is able to find one through the floorboards against Shuttle, pushes their man advantage up. Sloppy is going to continue to push that coefficient even further into his team's favor. Retro finally gets a trade. Planet Tempt is going down here, and Nyx just casually headshotting them to stop it. Wanted to wait for the maximum time on that one. Confirms the kill on a Dream before getting down, but not eliminated. Creators is going to finish him off, but now it's Retro alone. All he has to do, though, is deny this plant. He's on smoke. No Toxic Babe, so he's got to try and make an aggressive run in order to do it. Is he going to be able to get there in time? No, wait. Oh, so close to denying it, but doesn't get the job done. Only picks up the kill. Now the situation's flipped. Retro needs to get on this diffuser as quickly as possible in the hopes that Mark won't peek him before realizing that it's being diffused. He's got to swing around heavily as well. This is going to happen. Retro has the angle to win it, and it's just going to pull off the ninja diffuse before they even realize.
Well, you don't see that one every day. You don't see the 1v1 post plant, just, pros don't fake. I'm just going to stick it and win. So, well, Disrupt getting by on the skin of their teeth. I didn't think that was going to go well at all when we saw that the last 4 remaining members were no one that could possibly assist offsite or try and prevent anything from going on upstairs. We still had some nitro cells at our disposal for the defense, but it just proved to be that Retro's intuition won them the round. He actually almost ended up winning it off of that prone that he had next to White Van. So very good round there by Retro to lock that one down and keep them in it. We're also going to have a 6 pick away from the smoke. Not something we see every day, but not a bad pickup either. The Doc coming in for lobby.
We'll see how aggressively the Doc is going to be used here as Disrupt maybe looking to try and go for a little bit more of an aggressive round now that they've got another one onto the board here. Like I said, we've seen them try to play into that in the past here, so if they want to use it as their strategy to try and slow down Tempo, get them off their entry game, which even with them losing that last round, keep in mind that part of their team was still very, very much there. The early round belonged entirely to Tempo back on the 7th, so they're going to have to be very careful. Or back on the 8th, excuse me. So let's be very careful to make sure that this one also doesn't slip out of their fingers.
Can we just talk about this for a second? Tempo looks like an entirely different damn team, man. Like I haven't said something like that in a while, but oh my god, these guys look refreshed, reformed. The intel game's great. They're playing with utility. They're patient. Dream is a freaking madman. It's wild. I don't believe it. It's incredible what they're able to accomplish right now.
And all that can potentially grow even more as well as we get further into the season here. Keep in mind, we've got stage 2 coming up, more than likely a little bit later on this year. And the major as well. If Tempo comes out on top of this one, they'll earn their spot in the major qualifier, giving them a chance to move through into the regional major and really earn some of those yearly points, which is something actually we don't talk about too much here on the stream as of yet too, is the new system that Ubisoft is using for SI qualification.
Yeah, it hasn't become too, useful just yet because we don't have anybody with points.
Yeah.
But definitely after we get some points, then we'll more than likely start talking about it. It's a really cool setup now. If you guys haven't been following not Ubisoft, excuse me, but Rainbow Six Siege esports, then I would highly recommend going to the website and reading through that. So now that we're on to map point here, at least for Consulate, we're guaranteed another map. We'll see how long Disrupt can finally stay alive here. NJR getting his first kill inside of round 9. Is this the comeback that we need? Is NJR's light finally on?
Well, time to see. The rest of this round will certainly be a good indicator for that. This is the first time that Tempo have been on attack and have had to work it from a negative man count here at a 4v5. Still a lot of aggression coming out from Disrupt, most notably NJR. And like he said, finally hit his first kill of the match there with the hold on yellow. And is going to look to see if he can get any more. No resistance coming in from Tempo, though. So he's ultimately going to have to relocate here as Tempo's changed up the script a little bit. Reem's trying to pressure in from basement. He's going to run into Nyx in just a moment, though, and he won't be alone either. Thankfully, that second round DG on Spiral's not even going to be needed. Nyx handles the issue all on his own. brings the man count for Tempo even lower here. And Tempo, unfortunately, just doesn't really seem to have a great plan about how necessarily they want to handle the 3v5. A lot of players are split up. Looks like the attempt is going to be to try to work their way in through yellow. NJR going to get blinded out from that. Shuttle's already shut down Sloppy. He's tried to push in from a different angle. NJR will get 2 of the players on the team ultimately as he goes down to Crazy. That leaves Crazy alone. 1v4 situation. He's not going to be able to bargain his way out of that one. Nyx picks up the last kill as he also gets 2 on this round. And Disrupt find the 9th round.
Good start to the defensive half here for Disrupt, linking 2 together after losing Split as their very first site. So we'll see where they go after this. Basement and Lobby are both locked out now. Now they have to go to uncharted territory or to a site that they haven't won yet, and they're going to head back to Split. This could be all she wrote for this. That Split site went so one-sided. It was incredible. But especially after these last 2 rounds, it seems that DG have a hold on what Tempo's trying to do, especially with the entry game of Dream. So we'll see if they can continue to counteract that.
It's going to be 86 picks here. We are going to have a Ying snuck in here for Tempo. That's going to go on to Dream. First time we'll see this operator get picked up in this series as well, so could act as a bit of a surprise. Members on the defensive side here for Disrupt, if they're not going to expect it. That could also mean Tempo are potentially thinking about trying to do some pretty aggressive stuff right at the beginning. A lot of question marks right now about how Tempo are going to approach this and fix the issues of the past few rounds, but like you said, should still have a good amount of confidence given that they've already crushed 1 run on this site. The overall strategy from Disrupt, in the meanwhile, is not going to change from the previous attempt here at Split. Still bringing the 5 Nitro cells to the table.
That's a lot of damage. That's quite a bit. You can't miss that many times, or if you do, then it's probably very bad. I think 0-5 is probably not the best. Full reinforcement onto the garage panels, though, instead of big garage, so that's going to be 3 reinforcements used up there, which means that they might be desperate somewhere else for utility, well, at least for reinforcements, obviously, so we'll see how well this goes. That seems to be an adjustment as well. I don't believe that we had that reinforced on the last Split site, did we?
I don't think we did, no.
Okay, so we'll have to see exactly where they ended up taking those away from. We also saw the hatches get sealed last time. They're both still sealed as well. So it seems that they more than likely took these away from possibly close. Yeah,
upstairs.
Yeah, probably either.
Well,
that's sealed as well, actually. So it seems that they took them away from downstairs inside of the server area.
Maybe it just was there. We're misremembering.
That's why I asked you, because I was not 100% on it.
Yeah. I'm usually not the go-to person for that. My memory's pretty bad on that sort of stuff. I'm so sorry. That's all good. I mean, hey, we're both wrong now, at least, right? If we were wrong in the first place.
If we're going to be wrong, let's be wrong together, John. Hold my hand. We'll just jump off of this cliff together.
That's a good way to play it out. All right, guys. Tempo on the board. Already a minute gone by. Drones are buzzing through the 2nd floor at the moment, trying to clear things out, and they'll find it to be pretty clear indeed. So shouldn't expect too much delay on the hop-in from Tempo. Here we go. Mark's in first. Sloppy 2nd. The rest of the team shouldn't be too far behind. And a swift upstairs clear to follow that up, as I don't believe there's any presence here from Disrupt trying to get into their way.
I know this is going to be a terrible time to bring this up, but that looks like the exact same rug that's on Villa that's inside a projector. I think that's the exact same rug, just much larger.
It's the exact same texture.
It's the same rug, just a larger rug.
These are game dev words correctly.
I'm not a game dev. This is real life. This is my immersion. Don't you dare.
That's true.
Don't you dare. Drone's still going for Tempo Storm, though, as we get back onto a more serious tone. Tempo's all upstairs. They also did bring the Ying for more than likely an explosive entry, or at least to try and blind out everyone down below so they're able to get a plant down. Only a minute remain now, though, as Tempo's cut off all of the rotations that are possible to the top floor. But they have to work their way into this Teller's area. They're trying to see if Disrupt will rotate or make a misstep here so that they're able to get this pick that they so desperately need, but Disrupt not showing face.
Dream still looking for some sort of opportunity to bargain themselves into one of the sites here, or at least start to get pressure onto Basement, but it's just not panning out at the moment for them. Down to just 40 seconds to play off of here. A lot of information coming off the cardiac sensor again on Shuttle here. It knows exactly where the push is going to be working its way towards. Calling out for Nitro cells. Nobody there to follow it up. He has one as well, but obviously there's that bit of delay in having to put away the sensor, throw out the Nitro cell. You know, a player could easily get out of the bad spot in the time that it takes to do that. So you're going to have other teammates do it instead. Crazy's going to get dropped while attempting to go for the plant. Down to 15 seconds left here now, but also the Nitro cell count is starting to degrade a bit as well. They still have the capability to deny it, especially if this Nitro goes in the right spot. Not going to happen, though. Mark picks up the kill on Nyx. The plant goes down. They spot the planter just a second too late. He's going to be able to make it out of dodge just fine. Now this counter starts ticking in the other direction, and Disrupt have a very big issue. But thankfully, they've also got some very big explosives. NJR with the first find. Trade comes in from Dream. He's just going to continue to unload his entire magazine as he looks for kills here. But ultimately, that's just going to serve to give him away. Shuttle picks up the next kill. Sloppy's trying to play this passively at this point, but the defuse is already coming in. He gets aggressive, as we did see the air jab go off. But now can he stop the counter defuse? No, he cannot. Disrupt, they're going to be able to sneak in yet another round. They get number 10 up on the board, and this match gets closer and closer with each more round won by them.
Well, that definitely wasn't supposed to happen. It was almost a thrown round there from Disrupt as well, as after they attempted the nitro cell, everyone just kind of looked at each other and was like, okay, so do we shoot him now? Or what do we do? How do we get rid of the guy that's putting the diffuser down? A little bit too late on the pre-fire through the floorboards, ends up putting a diffuser down for Tempo Storm. I thought they had it going into the post plant, but Hail Mary from Disrupt up the admin staircase proved to be worthy, and as well as a good adjustment for a rotate up spiral by the Mira of all operators. But you got to do what you got to do when it's a desperate time. It does indeed call for desperate measures, and Nyx actually ends up winning the round off of not killing anybody, but just being there.
And so off of that, like we've been talking about before here, members of DG are going to continue to inch closer and closer to a comeback and a potential first map going into their favor. Tempo, though, still sits on that 6th round. They only need to close out just this one more. That's all they need to get themselves the win here, though that's been problematic as of the last 2 to 3. Basement is the site we're going to jump into once again. This is another site where Tempo were able to make some great progress in getting themselves the diffuser onto the ground, but unfortunately faltered in a very unfortunate turn of events due to, I think it was Mark not being able to properly rotate around from a yellow door in time to stop the counter diffuse because it happened so quickly from Disrupt's last player.
Yeah, that's when he was playing up towards the gas station spawn area, and he had to actually rotate all the way down the staircase and try and get the angle because they weren't able to get any of the other panels open. So the only vision he could have possibly had was from the south side of the driveway, but he was not positioned there properly, and Retro was able to win it off of intuition. I'll just stick the plant. I don't think I'm going to win a heads-up gunfight, so we'll see if he's able to rotate here in time, and he wasn't able to. So very good round from him once again, but as previously stated, we are headed back downstairs, so we'll see if that can possibly happen. But I don't think Tempo's exactly keen, or they're more than likely keen on the situation now that it's going to get desperate when it gets into that post plant. Again, that does help them out quite a bit. But for the stats, looking across these. Tempo Storm still not doing the best when it comes to these plants on offense, man. It just seems that offense is not Tempo's forte.
And it's like the last time they attacked us, they seem to have the right idea too. They got everyone from Disrupt locked down to the inside of either cafeteria security. Now a single player was there to oppose them, even like upstairs from Piano. But then they don't really try to hold them in there after the post plant at all. That might have been like the one fatal mistake we saw Tempo make on the last attack, was that they didn't try to lock them in there in a post plant situation. They backed out, and that allowed for Disrupt to get so aggressive and get the retake started so quickly. This time, Tempo obviously still going for the upstairs clear just to make absolutely certain. And in a moment here, going to try and catch some of the players that are holding down in Piano. Members of Disrupt lost this very early last round. This time they've already held it for a much longer period of time than they did on the last attempt here. This is slowing down the Tempo strategy in a pretty big way, just having these two players here.
They don't have much utility, though. Hopefully they have a rotation with that hatch being open. I didn't exactly see if it was, but if not, they're more than likely in some hot water here. It is open, so Shuttle and NJR are going to have a safe means of travel back to site. They also have a rotation into Z, which could prove to be extremely useful here, as Tempo Storm are starting to get aggressive towards the bathroom. But actually, it might be helpful towards Dream instead, as he's working his way inside. Pre-firing through the single panel towards the hatch, but only does a little bit of damage to NJR. He still stays alive, though.
Both players just going to fall back, as you said. NJR being the only one to take some heat out of that one. We're also going to start to see the members of Tempo start dropping towards the basement because they have to now. Time is getting incredibly low. Our Sledge will need to be a little bit careful here, citing the mistake from the last round, where he ended up getting caught with a nitro cell here. This time, though, we've got the garage being open, so very low chance that anyone's going to be playing that far forward anyway this late into the round, as once again, like I said, you've got DG for the most part trapped into the backside. This time, though, the time is much more in their favor, as long as they have the appropriate utility to deny, which they do on Retro right there. still has all the toxic gas grenades, 2 more even after that one's thrown out. They should be able to deny this just on time.
Well, the good news is that they've blown both panels, so there's a possibility to plant in 2 separate situations. The bad news, though, NJR has definitely come alight. Crazy planted in a very unorthodox area, planting next to Yellow Pillar instead. Dream holding the crosshair for Shuttle. Shuttle swings out and gets eviscerated. What a shot. Oh, Tempo Storm all over round 11. Don't even give DG a chance. Tempo pick up Consulate.
And ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's that entry power once again coming in. Great fragging power from Tempo Storm that allows them to negotiate for so much control in Garage. Not only that, but brute force their way past the toxic gas grenades and still be able to plant up close on that little lip that goes up to the rest of the basement site. So really great play from Tempo. Obviously, a few bumps in the road as they're trying to get past certain elements of Disrupt's defense. That's definitely certainly an issue for their attack. As you said, planting seemed to be a very difficult point for them. But overall, especially looking at the defensive half, things are looking very, very strong for Tempo in the moment.
Yeah, and the same thing can't be said for Disrupt right now. NGR only getting 4 kills that map. And I know inside of competitive, we say this all the time. Kills don't matter as much as the rest of the game does, but sometimes they really do matter. And in NJR's case, they definitely do. He tied for the least amount of kills in the entire lobby with Crazy, who was on hard support that entire time. So going into the future, and especially into this next map, which is Clubhouse, we need to see NJR step up.
We did start to see him step up quite a bit towards the end of the map, so hopefully we'll see his and the rest of DG's resurgence. Before we get to that second map, though, we've got a segment with the analyst test coming up to break down map number 1, so stick with us, folks. And when we come back, we're going to be getting you ready for map number 2 between Disrupt and their opponents here at the NAL.
Welcome back, I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse. 7-2-4. Tempo Storm takes map 1, taking down Disrupt Gaming. Veli,
Yes.
while we were doing analysis earlier, you're like, well, maybe NJR will have a mediocre game, then the rest of DG will step up. Well, NJR didn't have his best game, but the rest of DG didn't get your memo, apparently. Veli, Tempo just did some work on DG here.
Tempo put out that work, definitely. This clip is what I want to talk about later on too. No, I'm gonna have to say it. Creators did a fantastic job. Same with everybody else on this roster. The one thing that we all collectively agreed on is the fact that ever since they made swaps to their roles, they have been far more explosive, and they've been winning a lot more rounds recently. I honestly, this Tempo compared to the Tempo we saw day 1, 2, 3, 4 is not the same team. This team looks like they can spoil Disrupt Gaming in a potential, top 5, top 6 conversation.
Yeah, Jesse, actually, I want to talk to Veli about this. Disrupt Gaming,
Bring it back.
The clap, the clap video, oh my goodness. So Disrupt Gaming, they had some aggressive attack strats, but Veli, we were chatting about this a lot. They really backfired.
Yeah, so my favorite round throughout the entirety of that map, so we saw the Archives Teller site, right? And usually we see teams go above and they try to get the plan on the table or bait the C4s. This time around, Disrupt, they said, let's punch them in the face. They went through Garage, they set up for the take, they wanted that fight. Even though there were mirrors and everything holding them back, they were still persistent. But what stopped them? I called it. Creators had the most nerdiest angle behind that server rack. And I honestly don't think he could have died right there. He's able to clock 2 kills.
Yeah.
That was an awesome angle.
Right. I believe, Shuttle, he pushed a mirror player, lost that 1v1, and after that, it just fell apart. It showed 2 things, okay? I like the fact that Disrupt, they're thinking outside the box. They want to try a new approach. I respect it, right? But also, man, Tempo, they looking damn good, Jackie. I love it.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. Jesse, I want to do more of a deep dive with you. We were talking before the break, and you told me that the Garage attacks were really fast and failed,
right,
and the Teller's Archive attack also seemed off. Can you break down why these didn't work?
Yeah, I mean, Veli hit the nail on the head with Teller's Archives attack through Garage. It worked the first time for them. They went top down. They tried to switch it up, and it's fine to try that kind of stuff, and I think that they had a potential, but the angle just really shut them down from Creators. Yeah. As far as the cafeteria Garage bomb site takes, they were quite quick. They were trying to open up that wall and get in and plant as quickly as possible. I felt they would have benefited from taking a bit more time to clear out that gain control of that top floor, open up some more of those floorboards, really put a little bit more pressure on those anchors, because Tempo Storm didn't have a huge problem denying that plant when the plant started to come in quite early. Tempo Storm were really quick to react as well to the wall being opened up and to Disrupt Gaming focusing that plant. So I get where they're coming from, and certainly you don't want to take too long, because that you put yourself in a really dangerous position as an attacker. But yeah, I think taking their time a little bit more on those cafeteria Garage attacks would have been beneficial to them. It really is just disappointing as a whole from Disrupt Gaming, because I wanted to believe that it's really just these chaotic teams that they were struggling against, but that's not quite what I saw from Tempo Storm, and still the attacks weren't really coming together for Disrupt Gaming. So it's been really disappointing to watch Disrupt Gaming play the second half of the season, and it didn't turn around that much.
Some of the rounds could have been missed opportunities. We really liked the round where Nyx was Ying, and he attempted that push after the Candela blew up. I think that strats like that would work if that happened a second earlier and they tried to plant in the smoke. Just those small opportunities,
Yeah. Well, I also want to talk to Jesse. We'll switch from attack to defense. Jesse, let's talk about the 3 defensive rounds that Disrupt won.
I mean, even in those ones, it didn't look amazing for them. I thought Tempo Storm was still in the lead for the majority of those rounds. One of them was Retro getting that 1v2 post plant where he sticks the disable inside of Garage, which is just Mark is not in the right spot. He's just a little bit too far out because it was so quick, which credits Retro being so quick, but that's one that you don't expect the defense to win most of the time. The round after that was NGR finally getting on the board in I think it was round number 9, and delaying a lot of time, getting a couple of kills in the yellow stairs, and that was great individual performance, but again, it's not really a team change. And then the last one as well, the final defensive round where they won, the Teller's Archives hold, where the plant happened and it had to be a retake strategy, and they had Miro running all the way up those spiral stairs to the top floor. I mean, again, that's just not a very convincing round. So Tempo Storm, for their attacks, looked quite good despite not coming out on top in most of their attacking rounds. The scoreline is almost deceptively close because there were a lot of times where it seemed like that game should have ended early.
Jackie, can I say one
What
thing?
are you giggling about?
I'm looking at the
giggling
stats.
about?
I jinxed him. I jinxed one of my
You did.
favorites.
Yep,
And you know
did.
what's
You did
crazy?
for sure.
The round where he got his first kill onto the last, they looked like they were making a comeback, and everyone else was just going off. I feel bad now. I'm not gonna jinx him no more. I'm done.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to see how map 2 plays out. But really quickly, we do have our community poll results in. The question was, which team will get the most entry kills in this matchup? And what do you guys think?
I mean, NJR is on top when it comes to entry kills, right, Jesse?
So people would probably lean
they've got to be.
Disrupt?
They've got to be
I
guessing
hope
Disrupts.
they lean towards Disrupt.
76% picked Disrupt.
Yeah, okay.
24% picked
There we
Tempo.
go.
So there you go, everybody. All right, what are we thinking for map 2? Y'all both picked Disrupt. So, Veli?
I'm a man of my word. NJR finally woke up. I think NJR was letting his grandma play or something, and the fact that he started racking up kills and going off towards the end, he's back. Off maps happen. Let's see what happens map 2.
Okay, so maybe just an off map. Jesse, what are you thinking?
Valley can stick to his word. I sure am not. That was a terrible performance from Disrupt. And I still think that Tempo Storm are a really good team.
Yeah.
I think they're a really underrated team. And I think I just wanted more from Disrupt, and that's why I initially wanted to pick Disrupt Gaming, but I'm not seeing it. I don't expect it to change. There needs to be more than just NJR stepping up for them to win this game. I think this is going to be a 2-0 for Tempo.
Yeah, I mean, both of you said it right before this matchup. You were like, DG needs to step up, and they're just not right now. So, I don't know, not looking great going into map 2, but maybe they'll reset. We will have to wait and see. Everybody at home, don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back after this break. Disrupt versus Tempo. Don't go anywhere.
Dream go.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the U.S. division of the North American League. Disrupt versus Tempo is well underway, with Tempo currently having the map advantage, closing out our first map. Second map is going to be Clubhouse, and we should just be seconds away from getting things started here. Disrupt, obviously not a great first half with a 1-5 scoreline coming out of that one, but starting to rebound a little bit, especially as we got towards the end of the match, even with players like NJR starting to wake up. Do you expect the second one to be a little bit closer, Stokes, or are there still some issues with DG that are going to stop them here?
That's a troublesome thing, looking through the map stats and everything that we've seen from Disrupt this split. Disrupt actually hasn't lost Clubhouse, and fun fact, they beat SSG here. They beat them 8-7. It took max OT, but you beat the Giant on their favorite map.
They're also like the only team to do it in like 8 or 9 months or something crazy like that. Like the SSG had a crazy run of being undefeated on Clubhouse. I don't remember the exact time frame, but I just know it was like a really long time.
It was almost a year, if I remember correctly. I think it was like 10 months. I just heard something ding, so I'm gonna assume it's gonna be big brain. Yes, it is big brain. 11 months, folks. 11 months. I was 1 month off. I tried.
That was like 2 to 3 months off, depending on which one you took. But either way, we're getting into the map now, folks. Let's get down to it. Clubhouse, Disrupt versus Tempo. If Tempo takes it, they get the major qualifier spot, and Disrupt gets absolutely nothing except a matchup versus TSM at the start of the next stage.
All right. Well, Maverick banned out. Tempo Storm now in the hot seat for their 2 bans. I'm assuming that they're toying with a Thatcher ban. That's more than likely why it's taking so long. They want to know what they want to get rid of. What's it going to be? That's the real question here. And they're going to get rid of the Hibana instead. So Thermite as well as Thatcher both in play.
Keeping trend with actually what we've seen happen quite often, where it's just Maverick and Hibana getting knocked out on this map here to leave. Yeah, the option is there to be able to hard breach and be able to do it pretty easily in some circumstances, but your actual hard breach capability is severely limited as you're stuck with only 2 of them throughout each and every round, which is going against what we've been used to more recently, where you can bring a whole, flare of those hard breaches and obviously be able to access hatches and walls a little bit more freely. Clash and Valkyrie are going to be the final 2 bans. Clash not necessarily one we see super often, so that one's going to get knocked out here as well. Very claustrophobic map in certain circumstances, so I can completely understand why you'd want to get rid of Clash.
Yeah, and she's just straight up annoying at the end of the day. You 6-pick onto a Clash. Granted, you're more than likely going to know rolling into it, okay, yeah, they're going to have a Clash here, but she's just such a nuisance when it comes down to it. You have to dedicate utility to try and get rid of her. It's just a whole separate hassle, so much rather not deal with it. I don't think it's a bad ban at all. So we're headed downstairs first, and Tempo Storm going to be on offense here.
Which this will be a really great first tell, considering this is where both the teams, sidewise anyway, were at the end of the last map. And like I said at the beginning of the segment here, DG was certainly on a bit of a comeback run towards the end of that last map. I think they were starting to wake up now that they had, more appropriately, I would say, figured out Tempo's strategy. But there may be a period at the beginning of this map where they're suffering from the same thing if they don't know exactly what Tempo is going to bring to the table for this one.
Okay, well... Okay. Well, downstairs is going to be the site for this one, and seems that for right now... Hold on one second. I'm having like an error over here for... Hold on. You're going to take it over. Yeah, something's just like glitching up on my end. I'll get it fixed real quick.
Well, taking a look at the setup here once again. Everything, as far as I can see here so far, should be pretty straightforward, especially with the Cade being in play. So we're actually... Ooh, those are reinforced. So, just one of them right now. Sorry, I can't see the little, pegs that go through the wall so easily when you look at it from the other side. That's not your fault. I'm talking to the observer, folks, so ignore me. But yeah, those other 2 reinforcements are going to go on. So I thought we had something weird, but when I saw the 2 jammers on the ground, pretty sure we were going to get it eventually, and thankfully we did. So the setup is pretty straightforward here for the basement setup on Disrupt. Tempo now very much out onto the board, though, as of about 20 seconds ago. And they are in the process of getting some map control, at least the free map control they can get at the start here before they go back to doing the mid-round drone effort for themselves, as Dream and the others are going to focus on getting a little bit of information for themselves about players like Retro here. Actually, Retro's downstairs. Man, I'm really misreading these outlines tonight, getting the better of me. Apologies for that. Retro's going to be holding in blue, so my mistake there. The rest of the team from DG taking some similar notes. We've got 4 players in basement right now, so a very heavy emphasis on just holding the site. 5 players in basement, as we see Reed over Dirt as well. Very heavy emphasis on just holding the site, not trying to play around with tempo in the early round at all. And that's a very smart move when you consider, again, that entry power that was there in the second half of the first map for tempo. They were very, very strong in just outright open 1v1 duels, so it's probably a good call for DG to avoid those for right now.
All right, well, we got things solved on my end, and we also have a solution to the Moto hatch. Gonna blow that one open with one of those exothermics. Tempo Storm making pretty good pace right now. We're coming to the bottom of the stairs already with not less than half of the round expended, and Dream also getting quite aggressive. This seems to be the tale for the new Tempo. Let's just make things quite aggressive, see if we can win our gunfights, and 9 times out of 10, they're able to do it.
Taking a look here. We're starting to see Tempo get a little bit more aggressive. A good lineup from NJR. Nearly nets him a shot, too. I think he misses it by just a split second here. So some of the players on Tempo are going to start to look for a way around that. Keep in mind, of course, no real damage done on either side of this. We're approaching right around 1 minute mark here. So the pressure is going to start to really be pushed on Tempo relatively soon if they're not careful about it. See Creators still looking for an opening down to the Moto hatch as well. But once again, as I said at the beginning of the round, Disrupt are playing this very passively. They don't want to take a fight unless it's forced on them.
Yeah, most definitely. Only 45 seconds remain now for Tempo Storm. Thought that they had it signed, sealed, and delivered when they're already approaching the bottom of main, but didn't say that they had dirt still sealed up, and they're finally working their way into sight. Stun grenades pour in. This could be a pretty fast execute here. They're trying to rush in through the single panel at the back of sight. Crazy needs to get this frag here, but he can't. Disrupt all over Tempo Storm in the back of Armory. Reed yet again, and that's going to be, I believe, 3 for him on the round. A flawless round for Disrupt as well.
Let's get hyped up with the team taking control over that one. Overall, a great hold from them. Great intel that they got onto the attackers' overall plan, and then they just line themselves up to shut it down. And unfortunately, Tempo is forced to make a move due to low time. They had to try and get in and get control for themselves, and just didn't work out. Players on DG had too much of a read into how exactly to stop that.
Well, for the second site now, we're going to CCTV Cache. This is another one of the usual sites we see here on Clubhouse. I don't believe that we're going to be seeing any bar today. So Jaeger and Momai picked up for the defense. Not a bad set at all, especially since they have the Bandit as well. But more than likely knowing that that's going to be a 6 pick if they are headed upstairs. You're not going to be using Bandit and Kaid to keep those locked down. Although Kaid does have some other interactions here on this site. You can actually lock down both the garage panels by putting the electro claws on the rafter, which is pretty cool.
It's one of those tricky little electric claw spots. There's a couple of them. Yeah, I know of 2 others, like a good one on Border and a good one on Chalet, where you can like hide it in the next room down. Most people know that Chalet one now though, so they'll usually find it pretty quick.
Why are you giving away my strats?
Oh, come on, everybody knows about that one. That's like easily the most known one. I just like have people on, like if I'm streaming or something, people just randomly tell me about new ones all the time.
Really? Oh, they're like, you should put the electro claw here.
Yeah. All the electrical spots I know are just people that like random people showed up on Twitch and showed me, and I was like, oh cool. Just use
I had a
this now.
viewer like probably a month ago that I was playing with on Clubhouse show me this crazy Valkyrie camera that you can like fit underneath a box so you can see default plant. Okay, this is pretty cool. So I've been using that one. It's pretty interesting, but. Now that we're jumping into the round now about things that actually matter besides us being terrible at the video game, we do indeed have the hard destruction set up here. So Crazy's already ready on the wall. The EMP's down. It looks like we're going to have some good old-fashioned bandit tricking here, John.
Shuttle's going to try his best at it. As obviously you can see Dream on the angle through the window. That's going to make it very hard for Shuttle to get out of there. And Shuttle, unfortunately, is not even going to be able to attempt the trick due to Dream's position. Incendiary Bolt is sent in. There's no way for him to stop it. The wall is breached open. And Tempo now have good access, but we're going to start out with a 1-for-1 exchange as NJR gets aggressive to find the pick on Dream, but Mark is there immediately to exchange it back. Not without taking a little bit of damage of his own, though, so...
Yeah, that was almost actually a great play there from Disrupt, but Reed wasn't able to get his Wamai disc out fast enough. Could not stop that Capital Bolt from flying in, as well as the EMPs that are at the disposal of Thatcher can more than likely thwart those Wamai discs earlier on, making it more difficult for them. But now that the panel's open, this is something that everyone's used to on this site, so still shouldn't be too hard-pressed on the defense.
Disrupt are just going to be split up a little bit, but not to any degree that should hinder them when it comes to an actual execute from Tempo here. Raider is still trying to line up as he sends in, I believe, the first of his stun bolts there, and is going to send out the second one now. Still has that shield to worry about. He can more than likely take care of it with a soft breach charge as well. And that's exactly what he's going to do right there, taking that out. Now, he's going to be careful. There's a few players trying to peek out here and potentially take a duel versus Creators, but with all of the damage done, and in fact, just to correct myself, Creators did not take out that shield. He made a soft breach in the right side of that mid wall right there, so just to correct myself real fast on that one. But either way, Tempo have changed up their game plan a little bit and instead are going to primarily push right now from what looks like construction.
Not a bad adjustment at all, especially because they weren't able to get control of Garage earlier on, but didn't make too hard of an attempt either. So it seemed that for Tempo, this might have been the game plan all along. They're pressuring from everywhere, and mind you, they also have access to that buck. This is something that we saw them pull out from under Tempo's feet the last time that Tempo played Clubhouse, but now Mark right back on it. They also have some holes made to try and prevent this from Bar, but he's already adjusted himself into the actual lounge area. Now it's up to Shuttle to try and play chase here. Is he in trouble? He hasn't even looked across. Mark, oh my, he doesn't even look to his right. Shuttle takes him down, and Tempo Storm in some trouble. Finally, Retro, after 2 kills with the SMG-11, both headshots as well, cleans up round 2.
Great job from DG, keeping the pressure on to the members of Tempo, despite making consistent progress with their utility to get better access to the site and open up more and more angles to play off of. Never really able to get any kills to follow that up, except at the beginning when they had that small exchange with NJR, who had run out to try and get aggressive. Away from that, unfortunately, Tempo just never was really there in the frag department for that run, never really finding any great opportunities to pick off players from DG, and DG constantly was in their face, stopping them before they even got close to the site.
Well, we're going to the third site now in this site triangle, headed towards gym bedroom, and this is actually the default here. Either we're going to start upstairs or start downstairs and use gym bedroom as the tertiary site. Well, we've seen a couple of teams actually take gym bedroom first, but either way, it's usually these three sites that we're going to see. Nice setup here from Disrupt as well, at least operator lineup wise. They have everything that they need to be able to hold this down, but we'll see what sightlines they're able to use and how they're going to combat logistics.
Then that thing's going to look pretty straightforward. Retro just putting out the foot shots there on the soft wall that separates the two sites. Already got the rotate hole made on the left side. So hopefully defenders are able to punish anyone that moves into gym. Just trying to take control of that for the plan. Defenders have an easy way to shoot back now, and at very low risk too, because it's only the foot panel or the foot area panels that have been shot out on that wall.
Well, just to make you guys aware, if you are just coming on board with us here in map 2, whoever ends up winning this series actually is able to participate in the NA qual for the major, and that's a really big thing because whoever loses this is not able to, which means they have no major chance or ability to go to LAN.
Tempo already on the board for themselves. Take a look at some of the opening strategies they're going to try and unfurl onto Disrupt. We do have Creators, who's unfortunately not going to be doing anything too exciting here. He's going to quickly take care of some of the castle barricades. Pretty straightforward job for the Zofia. And at this point, now is when things start to get a little bit more interesting. Because now is when they're going to start to look for setups for themselves to try and start working towards this actual site. And it looks like a lot of that is happening over towards the cache and CCTV side. As you can see, Disrupt have a pretty extended defense specifically into cache. However, not enough to stop the wall from being breached open there on the east side of the CCTV room. So more than likely, we're going to start to see Tempo move in and try to pressure out players like Reed and Retro, who are holding those rooms just next to the site right now.
Disrupt are doing a bang-up job of slowing down Tempo Storm, and I think that was the main thing for Consulate, is they got so many entries into the building. Oh my, Reed with an impact to the bottom floor there, and ends up getting rid of that exothermic on the ground, and that's actually, no, that's going to be still one there for Crazy. Did not have to get the CCTV wall because it's soft this time around, so that's good for them. They still have one more chance, but definitely still an impact in Reed's pocket that could change all of that.
See Mark trying to do a little bit of work from the buck here as well. Does get spot on one of the members of Disrupt way down at the other side of the map. Dream, I think, is ultimately going to try and impact on that. No, never mind. He's upstairs fragging out in the meanwhile. He's going to be able to take out Retro and one more as Reed is dropped. 3 still standing here for Disrupt. A lot of them holding still from the inside of the site. So Tempo's not clear to try and push through this just yet. Nyx, however, is more likely going to have to find himself rotating back up those main stairs relatively soon, or he could find himself in a very unhelpful position to stop this execute.
Well, still good anchor positions here for DG, but Mark pushes it even farther. He gets a kill onto NJR. Now logistics has been given up. Shuttle, the only man on site right now as well. Where is Nyx? This is a late flank attempt. He is. This is a very late flank attempt here. Shuttle's got to try and combat 3 people, make it 4 now that Mark's dropped into logistics, and it's actually working out well for him. Crazy shuts down Shuttle. Mark covers Nyx on the rotate, and Tempo Storm find their first round on Clubhouse.
Good attempt from Nyx to try and work his way in there late, and certainly finds a bit of impact, but ultimately the damage was already done on the site by the time that he had arrived, and Tempo's much more cautious entry power that time once again allows them to push through and get their first round up onto the board for themselves. Great work in clearing out the members of DG in a much slower fashion than we had seen Tempo do in the past. Seems to be working out much better for them to try and control these executes, where before they've been kind of running into it in a much more, I guess you could say, explosive fashion. And DG has been reading into that due to the amount of time Tempo was taking to set those types of takes up.
I think it's simply due to the map changes here, really, for Tempo Storm. And what is that? That is a blitz being 6 picked by Dream off of Capital. Okay.
Right.
Well, getting back to the point that I was going
I don't really have much to add to that. But it's there.
Well, I'm getting mint flashbacks right now, so we'll see if it happens in the same manner.
Who was that? Was that who used it before and like instantly got dropped when he ran into the
No.
building?
Mint was the one who attacked this very site and killed the entire team. Yeah, he like ran through Moto and wiped out the entire team.
I thought I remember there being like someone else who picked one and just like instantly got destroyed the second they stepped in a building. That happened earlier this season, but I forget exactly which game.
Well, for Dream's sake, I really hope that doesn't happen.
It seems like every time I cast a blitz around, something like that happens to the blitz, so we'll see. But it's always exciting, of course, to get an operator into the play field that we don't necessarily always see, especially not in a competitive setting. So let's see what Dream has to offer us here on his blitz play.
All right, look, I want to know what the average is right now for this map for defensive wins. It's leaning 57% overall right now for Clubhouse towards a defensive win rate. So this is going to be sitting how Clubhouse is mostly always sat since it's been reworked, is at 60-40. So you're looking for the offense to at least get 2 rounds here and split 2-4. That's at least average here for Tempo Storm.
Dream got to stay right back in spawn. Does not want to give away his operator until he absolutely has to, more than likely here. We do have Retro getting a bit aggressive out from basement 2, holding the blue steps. He's going to get spotted by a drone in a moment, though, just like that. So that's going to send him back down. He was holding the blue air conditioner here, so he's more likely just going to posture himself up behind that and wait out the rest of the round. The last time we saw Disrupt play into this, they took an incredibly passive stance, and it worked out perfectly fine for them. They're doing pretty much the exact same thing here on round number 4.
Well, drone gets shot at the bottom of main, and that's actually quite a bit of drones dead for Tempo Storm. They're in quite a bad spot when it comes to this intel game. Only 4 operators actually have a drone, and there's also a possibility for those active drones to be muted. So Tempo Storm going to have to go through a lot of face checking. Still have access to kitchen though. Could do some soft destruction here with the buck. They keep bringing it on Mark, and it's seemingly successful. He's got the most kills right now on Tempo Storm, sitting 4-0-2.
Retro here going to end up getting EMP'd out, so he'll lose the ADS that he did have on the wall, but I believe he's got 2 more in his pocket, so he'll bring those back out. Still have some good reinforcements, and more than likely there will not be a second EMP onto that, so he's probably going to be good to take most of the heat when it does come down that way, if it comes down that way at all from Tempo right now. I don't know where exactly they're trying to set themselves up to attack. Thank you. We'll get a better look at that now from this floor. It does look like there's a pretty good emphasis going to be on blue for their push, along with Dirt, trying to hopefully crunch out the Arsenal players. And that's a great start with it. Dream finding impact on the blitz, but very quickly getting traded out by Shuttle a little bit further back in the tunnel.
Not a bad idea with the shield push into Dirt, but it's immediately counteracted, as you said, but still shotguns inside of Dirt as well. Sloppy on the other end of the map, though, gets one immediately traded by NJR. Still same positions, but Shuttle able to trade one out. Tries to work his way back from inside of Dirt Tunnel, but immediately eviscerated from Blue. Nitro cell out for NJR inside of Church. It's up to Mark to shut him down, but he can't do it. Now all left up to Crazy, and Crazy able to pick up the frag. Claps all around for Tempo Storm as they sign, seal, and deliver this into a 2-2.
An exchange between those rounds there. That's going to make it 1-1 overall between the two teams for this half on that site. We'll find out in just a moment if Disrupt feel brave enough to try and attempt it once again. It looks like they do, so we're going to be going back to that site for another attempt at it, as Tempo's pitch from both Blue and Dirt ends up working out. Some really close trades there as well. If we didn't end up seeing the Maestro get picked by the last player to push down Dirt, could have obviously been a much more solid hold from DG. Just a few in-the-moment things that ultimately cost them the round, so I can completely understand why they feel justified to go back and make another attempt at it.
For Tempo, though, on the offense, I like how they split up the defense and made them focus on separate things. As we saw, they were really, really honed in on Dirt and shutting down that blitz push with that operator in tandem as well inside of there. But Tempo Storm had already worked their way around the whole site. With Sloppy, I believe, coming down main, and also some blue pressure that later on inside of the round helped them out with that trade of Shuttle coming out of Dirt. That was truly where Tempo shined. It wasn't just the Dirt push. The Dirt push, as we saw, was shut down. It was the fact that they were able to adapt around it.
Yeah, and thankfully it took a lot of the presence away from the blue push as well. That, along with the blue push getting off to a good start yet again, Retro not being able to fend off the initial push and stop any of the utility dump that was going to be happening from that room. So he ends up being a pretty major loss that time and costing Disrupt the extra time that would have helped them to try and delay out Tempo and hopefully win the round for themselves. So like you said, 2-2, they're going to be tied up entirely, and Tempo will make another attempt at that strategy, although unfortunately they're not going to have the blitz for it this time. I think that they assumed Disrupt would have quickly moved on from that site.
I'd say rather fortunately. I think that blitz can work in that scenario, the way that they're trying to apply him, push people back from inside, or get Smoke to expend his toxic babes, something along those lines. Just get some utility trade there and make it where you constantly put pressure with that shield. But if it's going to get traded out like that almost every single time, then it's truly not worth bringing. Blitz is only good alive. So Disrupt, though, especially Nyx, very aggressive here with that smoke.
Yeah, he's going to end up getting sent back downstairs very quickly as their drone spots him out there. Otherwise, might have been an unexpected guest for the players on Tempo here as they were trying to push towards main stairs themselves. And JR still trying to trick the eye over here at Moto Hatch if he has the capability to. Away from that, you still have Retro on your hold and back blue right now. So Tempo, a lot of the same points being hit by the defenders here. So Tempo should already have a pretty good idea as to what's lurking downstairs themselves. Just need to reconfirm it and then execute upon that once again.
Well, still plenty of time to do so, and a lot of utility at their disposal since it is still early times here. NJR can no longer prevent the hatch. Actually, no, we already got the Electro Claw up there. I didn't hear it land, so just assumed.
He like picked it up and threw it down real quick. That's what he's been doing in that corner the whole time.
Yeah, the Electro Claw shuffle on top of that box, but he
just did it again, I
two
think.
EMPs will solve that solution, or solve that problem now. So, able to get Moto Hatch open now. Now all they need to do is choose where else they want to possibly pressure. They actually, they don't have any more hard destruction at all. So Crazy now fully expended his utility, still has stun grenades, but where's the plant attempt? Where are they going to execute into? That's the big question. Right now, it's looking like they really want church control.
This is like where the bans come in to help Disrupt in a pretty major way too, because if you remember, the other two hard breachers that are available for competitive play are banned out right now. So this is where that ban comes in to help out Disrupt in a pretty major way if they end up winning the round on this. And so far, that seems to be the way the round is trending, but kills can sometimes be a bit misleading here. NJR getting himself the C4 lineup. It goes out, but Sloppy seems to be very well aware of that fact and avoids it. In the meantime, though, another member of Tempo was just lost, and now yet another one falls to Nyx this time. Sloppy in the 1v4 situation. Already going past an Evil Eyes. There's a possibility he got scouted out by that. He does see the bullet hole here from the next room over. He's trying to guess as to where that player might be, but obviously that's really just a shot in the dark. Speaking of which, a good find to take out Nyx right there. Going to be able to quickly pre-fire onto him without any other intel. Now, desperately looking for any more kills that he can negotiate for himself, but NJR hiding out underneath the dining room table is going to get the better of him. And we'll see that next round go to DG.
Well, you got to hold your breath when Sloppy's the last one alive in a 1vx situation. He has the most on the team right now, but not able to bring it out in that regard there, or at least in that situation. So, scoreline now 3-2 as Retro and the rest of the DG squad have to pick their last site they want to go to. CCTV seems to be the wave, and I can't argue against it. They had a pretty good setup there, and I could definitely see it working into their favor. They did a very good job of not playing around green box or really around the cash room at all, because they know that Mark's going to be going below with that buck utility with that skeleton key. So that's exactly why we're going to see Tempo Storm shift away from that buck and instead bring the sledge.
All right, let's get into the round here. Like you said, it's an upstairs hold once again, this time in cash and CCTV for Disrupt. Already some good results coming out from this site. If they can make it 4, things are going to be looking pretty good. They've got the baseline for what we expect out of defenders on this map right now. But if Tempo picks this one up, then we've got ourselves a real game here, because Tempo potentially could have an edge coming out of the attacking half with a 3-3 scoreline. That all depends on how prepared their defensive side is to play against Disrupt, though.
All right, well, now that we're getting into this, seems like everything's going to be, for the most part, default, or at least what we're used to seeing on CCTV. I want to see how DG are going to play the downstairs this time around, especially with how much pressure Tempo likes to put inside of that lobby area. We saw them break up the stage wall the last time to be able to get some lines of sight into there from the bar area. I think that's a really good move, as well as what they've done now with construction. It seems they have some soft destruction into the double panel, as well as the construction hatch open for a possible outplay inside of stock.
So a lot of issues here for Tempo to try and work their way past. Doing that in the early round has never necessarily been an issue for them, so I wouldn't expect any of this to trick them up too heavily, unless we see one of the members of Disrupt managing to get away with a pretty major play here. Everyone else on Tempo still pretty far away from being able to contest here against Disrupt. There's a clear going on the roof right now as they're just setting everybody up to start working their way in. And in a moment here, we can more than likely see at least the wall breach attempt to go off. It'll probably end up being the first priority from Tempo. Oh, perfect timing here for NJR to try and pick up the kill, but unfortunately for him, Nyx ends up getting the better of it. NJR just takes the heat.
Well, Shuttle almost with a very poorly timed misclick, but doesn't blow himself up, so that's good. Stayed cool, calm, and collected. Didn't press that secondary utility key twice, but Shuttle doing a very good job of bandit tricking right now, and that's a troublesome thing for Tempo Storm. They have to find a solution to this problem. What they did the previous time was what we saw get, well, counteracted. The Capitao outside the western window, the CCTV window, firing bolts in there to prevent bandit from tricking the wall, but now they're in some hot water. I'm going to assume that it's more than likely going to be the Sophia from underneath to do this. They already have it locked down. One impact through, second one as well. Shuttle taking quite a bit of damage and no dock on the defense.
Shuttle just barely surviving that encounter, so he'll be able to get out of there. Survive to fight another day, although it'll probably be a pretty short fight with his HP. In the meantime, though, the rest of the defensive setup hasn't even been touched yet from Disrupt side. So Tempo, again, need to do a lot of work, and they don't necessarily have a lot of time to do it. Still over a minute, so they're not necessarily in trouble yet, but it's a bit of a worrying sign depending on how these next 30 to 40 seconds go for them. If they're not able to properly clear out, especially that garage player holding on Catwalk right now, that could just be a pinch against them if they are going to try and execute through this breach. But a good find from Mark lays that worry and is going to quickly take out the player holding Catwalks.
That's a huge pick as well. Garage controls what you need to be able to get default plant safely, and that seems to be the course right now for Tempo Storm. DG have to find a way to counteract this. Still plenty of utility, but no ADSs at the top of red stairs proves to be a big problem as a frag grenade bounces up, takes out Retro, and that's the smoke and all of his utility gone.
We're going to figure out the bandit's position here, too. They know he's exposed in cache. Honestly, a random bullet could very easily take out Shuttle right now if he's not careful. So he needs to be very cautious of pre-fires and things of that nature, considering he is just hiding behind a softwall. NJR with some light in this round, though. It gets not just one, but two players from way on the inside of Master. He's going to be able to down another as well. Nyx gets a confirmation on the mark, and that's it. Disrupt, spin it back around, and shut down the execute from Tempo.
Okay. No, that happened. NJR, I'm assuming, sprinted from, I believe, the mattress that lays there into the windowsill. And if you're able to get into a windowsill on this game, you can actually balance yourself on it to where you're not spotted outside. So that's exactly how that happened. They had no idea that he had any form of, sightline to the outdoors, and he was able to get all of those kills because of it. So very creative there from NJR.
Really a round-saving play right there as well. Things were not necessarily looking too great for the actual hold on the defenders, and that we would see what seemed like a very tempo-centric round to come out of that one, but not the case. NJR flips it back on its head, and Disrupt end up bringing that fourth round onto their scoreboard after all. So they take the lead at halftime. Tempo now jump onto defense, though, and this is where they need to really step up and try to close this one out, if their intention, of course, is to try and end this in two. Otherwise, Disrupt will be well on their way to a seventh round, and a potential third map with it.
Not a bad split at all, as we were talking about before with how Clubhouse usually goes. So Tempo's still well within reach of winning Clubhouse if they're able to link some defensive rounds together here. I like the operator pickup from Tempo Storm here. They got the Dock as well as the Legion. More of the Legion is what I'm looking into, specifically because Disrupt is now running a Monty. That's a direct counter there, and Sloppy's going to want to stay alive for this one.
See the members of Disrupt starting to move again here. Still got that little bit of presence from Tempo out on the board as well, but they're more than likely going to curl that back towards the site over the next few seconds, with Crazy being the last one that needed to fall back. So everybody's home again. Everybody's nice and safe, tucked away. All five players holding basement, just like we saw from Disrupt on their own half. That means that while Disrupt will more than likely have a very easy time with the early round clear, they're going to need a lot more to figure out how exactly they'd like to try and attack the site. Thankfully, with the Montaigne, though, that process gets just a tad bit easier, as at least they have a vector of attack to work with.
Well, DG starting the explosives off early here. An exothermic charge already used by Retro to blow open the blue hatch. And good headway already for them. I want to see how they're going to use this Monty, though, and how Nyx is going to be effective with that. Seems that they also want to go for Moto Hatch. No dirt push here, and obviously since Habana and Maverick are banned, not going to have any other hard destruction at their disposal. So Disrupt seem to want to go for a church push here. Get that blue control, use those soft panels towards the back of blue to be able to help with this church push.
Utility dump starting to work its way in from the attackers, but it'll be held because obviously you notice that there's no ADSs holding the Moto doorway. So they'll stop trying to waste any more of those flashbangs as they're definitely not ready to try and start pushing this as of yet. They still have a minute and a half left. There's a lot more setup to be done seemingly over on blue's side here right now as Disrupt looks like they want to get access to that. NJR is working on droning in right now in order to take better control for his team. But also a slight angle was given to Mark there as we did finally start to see some pressure coming down Oil Tunnel, but not enough to line up the shot. So good opportunity there for Tempo to pick up an early frag is unfortunately missed.
Well, I like that they've rotated Reed across, or whoever the member was inside of blue. It looked like Disrupt really wanted to flood blue there for just a second, and that could have proved to be very, very bad simply because of the angles being held from Tempo Storm. They're working their way up now, though. Mark still holding the long angle all the way from dirt. NJR with a very nice shot, but can he follow it up? This is the dot gunfight that he needs to win to be able to force themselves into the actual site. Mark now working his way into sight now, though. Abandons dirt. No plant just yet, but some damage done from this smoke utility. Sloppy picks one up inside of Church now, as Crazy still inside of Armory getting all of this intel with a cardiac sensor.
Still have some things delaying Disrupt, however. Toxic gas grenades starting to be put into the Moto doorway. See how many he actually has left to work with. That was the last one, so they can force the issue on the plant. Now the Montaigne reveals itself. We do have one Nitro Cell on Crazy. Sloppy picking up the most recent kill as well. Dream's gonna get dropped from a melee attack. Pokeball goes out, both of them, in fact, being thrown by Sloppy as he panics, trying to hold back the tide. Nyx gets a shot off on the pistol as well. Plant attempt, is it going to happen? No, unfortunately not, as we had a goo mine stuck in the thermite, so we could not plant while that was still in his leg.
Lesion's such a fun operator. Let me tell you.
When did they even hit the goo mine?
He threw another one down. So when they walked through the door, I heard Sloppy toss another one. I don't know where it landed, but apparently Thermite ended up stepping on it, which is very unfortunate because as we've all known too well now, you have to go through the full animation of taking that goo spike or the little pin out of your ankle before you're able to actually do anything else with a animation. So for instance, like plant, that's a very big thing. That's the main thing that it actually ends up stopping you from that, as well as sprinting and a couple of other things.
I gotta give credit to both teams. They are making these late round fights super interesting between the two maps we've had so far. We've already had so many close calls where it looked like either team could potentially come out a winner in those. So both these teams really playing their hearts out for that major qualifier spot. You gotta give them credit.
Absolutely. And of these two teams, the most improvement that we've definitely seen is Tempo Storm. It's truly incredible. I mean, going back to their initial VODs and VOD reviewing before this yesterday, this looks like a completely separate team. The coordination's really, really good. The entry kills on offense are great. I like this version of Tempo Storm. They just have to keep it for the future. As for Disrupt, though, things have slowed down a bit, but NGR seems to be back and very, very bright this time around. 10-3-4 right now after that first offensive round. So that's through 7. He's, over the KPR right now. Well, the 1.0, right?
Yeah. The important notes on the utility for this round, we do have both the Mute and Bandit combo. Now, Mute's not going to be able to put too many of the jammers down near the site, as he did use 2 of them on the back garage wall, which potentially limits Disrupt's capability to get garage open if they're going to use other EMP grenades right here. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't just pop open the front door and also shoot them out, but that's going to take, obviously the extra time to build up to that. And that's not even considering the fact that we could also see their hard breach get tricked here. And if that's the case, then they're definitely not getting that second wall open.
Well, DG starting off in secret, drone down to blue, and see creators running away. So creators going to have to rotate all the way across the map or wait for a late flank. Instead, he will rotate all the way across. Nick switches over to a camera to see exactly what he's doing inside of bar, and they know exactly where creators is. This is some really good droning here. This is something that we don't get to see very often just because of how our spectator works with cameras, but this is what we are used to seeing. If you guys are wondering about why we talk about intel games so much, is these sneaky little drones that get you a lot of intel on rotations and such.
First attempt at the wall breach happening now. Shuttle is going to be able to pick up a kill with a grenade against Dream, actually, while he was holding the wall. Now, NJR also got dropped, but the same can be said for Crazy, as Reed is going to be able to cut him off while trying to move in to confirm NJR. Sloppy's still at top red to try and contest this, but he's run out of time. NJR has withstood from the Zofia, and she's now safely out of the building.
Yeah, she's the only operator in the game that can do it, but she only has 5 health when she does. It's not too much of a change from 20. Even at 20, you're still able to kill relatively anybody with 1 bullet from any gun in the game. So for NJR, he's most definitely one shot on his last breath. We'll see how well he's able to perform in that regard. Disrupt, though, now focusing on to construction, at least Nyx for the time being, as he barrels down on top of it with shield in hand. They're looking for the plant, though. Retro still has that diffuser with only 50 seconds remaining. Disrupt needs to force themselves into sight somewhere. Retro's actually on the roof right now, so still trying to figure out exactly where they can possibly pressure in order to get this diffuser down in a safe area.
Good catch from creators. There was a player ready to shoot him if he was going to swing off that drone intel, so finds that and realizes that, okay, probably not the best idea to try and make this play right now. In the meantime, though, NJR is going to be able to find a nice pickup, but creators finally gets the timing to swing out. Unfortunately, he's going to lose his only other teammate, but that doesn't stop him from dropping another player, trying to dance around the Montaigne. It's a very precarious dance because, unfortunately, Nyx has a very long reach on his melee, and with that, he's going to be able to finish things off, as you'll see here in just a moment, and give another round over to Disrupt.
That's the terrible thing about Monty, is you got to play around him. There's really no way to kill him unless you have utility or he drops that shield, and that proves exactly how impactful he can be on a round. We're headed back to CCTV, though. Tempo won a rematch here. We'll see if Disrupt are able to find their way through it the same way that they were last time. Doesn't seem like they want to bring the Monty, but we still have the 6-pick phase to go through, so we'll see if Nyx goes for the adjustment once again.
These lesser rounds are also a great example as to why Montaigne used to get banned out on this map like all the time in the older metas, because he's just so annoying to deal with, especially in those more claustrophobic rooms like Cash, where you just don't really have a lot of room to avoid him. So as long as he closes the gap, he can draw that shield down and quickly get a melee hit off on you.
Yeah, especially when you're a last member as well. They changed it, I can't remember how long ago now, but it used to be when you meleeed somebody with your shield, you just instantaneously killed them, like what happened right there. But now you end up downing that person instead. But obviously, since we had the 1vx there, a great play there by the Monty of Nyx to be able to knock him out with that one punch.
That was going to go back to the upstairs sites here at CCTV and Cash, probably noting how close the overall hold was up until the very end and thinking that they might have a chance to close it out yet again. Still the go-to site for most teams as well, so it could also just be a pretty comfortable pick here for Tempo and not wanting to extend onto the other ones until they've won this one.
As well as Disrupt's efforts on offense right now to be able to establish cutoffs. We saw later on, after NJR had been down, he rotated towards Plat and was able to hold onto the breach for quite some time. Actually ended up getting a kill as well, and that's all you really need, especially after you've been down and you pick yourself up. If you're able to get another kill, that's just icing on the cake.
So once again, Disrupt out on the field, going to quickly try and work to take out the balcony wall for themselves, as you've got both the Thermite and the Thatcher moving up to take care of business pretty quickly. Dream is in the area, not actively on the trick, though, but more than likely, they're also trying to get drone intel before they try and break the wall down. And not only that, but Dream is also going to get the very much heads up with that blue glow from the other side. This time, though, he's not even going to attempt to trick it. That incendiary bolt comes in so quickly, and I think he was pretty much expecting it to happen. So no chance to stop that. The wall's going to get open very, very fast yet again.
Yeah, the only counter they truly had there was kill Capitao. There's no Wamais on the field right now, so no possibility for catching that arrow before it hits its mark. Disrupt, though, now have the wall open, and again, this is something that's quite standard on this site. That's the first thing that's going to happen, so everyone used to playing around that. Good news for Tempo Storm, though, is the longer Crazy stays alive, more of a nuisance he is with those goo mines. They don't, they can't win you an entire round most of the time, but obviously, since we saw it the last time, they definitely can. It's just the fact that they're quite a nuisance when it comes down to it, a minor inconvenience per se, but for Disrupt, they need to be able to get into this site. They've already established quite a few areas to be able to work with. It looks like that their main focus right now is Garage, and duly so. Mark actually having the FMG-9 inside of here playing the rafters as Smoke. Takes quite a bit of damage from the Capitao bolt, but not paying attention to the breach as DG. Dream steps up and gets himself a kill.
Numbers still very even. A good amount of time left over for Disrupt to work the rest of this take as well. Things are still in a pretty good shape for them. Try and get that 6th round up on the board. Tempo, of course, wants to stop this. Crazy still with an aggressive hold down in Lounge right now. Has got good map control to deny Disrupt when they finally go for an execute. But the problem is going to be, we'll also have a lot more trades actually going on over here towards the stage and lobby area, as both teams will lose one additional player, the numbers still being kept even as a result of that. That's a bad timing for Dream. However, he gets a chance to correct it. Nyx nearly losing that duel, still ends up coming out on top against Dream, but now at a very heavy cost, which allows Sloppy to swing and quickly trade him back out to still keep us at an even fight. Sloppy expects the hop over from NJR and punishes him when he finally goes for it. So now Reed is left alone in the 1v2 situation here. Knows exactly where Sloppy's playing from, probably knows he's low too, but Reed decides it's better to try and force the plan here if that's going to be possible. You can see the silhouette below, and they're going to get it as the Nitro Cell finishes off the round for Tempo, and we get a nice little clap session once again.
There's going to be so many memes of this man clapping on Twitter tomorrow. I'm not even ready for it. I'm not even ready for it. Oh, well, it sounds like we are going to have a rehost here, guys. So looks like, yeah, you guys will be coming to us. Hello, how are you guys doing? We're currently 5-4 right now inside of Clubhouse between these two. So gonna have to rehost through this and figure out whatever the issue is. And as soon as we have it solved, we'll be back into the game. But for right now, it seems that Tempo Storm is not slowing down at all. They're actually playing a very good map of Clubhouse here.
But the same thing, so are their opponents. As we said before, Disrupt has some pretty big wins on this map throughout the season already, with the most notable one being against SSG. They were the team to break their 11-month streak of wins on that map. So with that being said, both teams really playing their hearts out. As we mentioned before, there's a lot of stakes on this matchup, and it certainly seems like Tempo Storm did their prep work to try and counter out DG's own strategies coming into this matchup, as obviously they're playing for the major qualifier spot, and there's not going to be another chance to sneak in there if they end up dropping this match.
Yeah, well, jumping into things now for Clubhouse, and we'll try to stick to the side that matters right now, which is Disrupt on offense and Tempo on defense. I like that Monty pickup that they were running, especially because it forced the defense to respect it, take the lesion. This is what you need to be able to counteract it. DG played around it extremely well, but the one round that they don't take it is the one round that they end up getting punished here. They ended up losing that first one in some very weird fashion, so I'll just give them that one. But it really seems that the Monty play is helping out Disrupt a lot here on Clubhouse.
And even though they've moved away from it now, things are still going into their favor every so often. I think there's a good chance we might see the Monty come back into play if this trend of Tempo Storm, honestly just winning the most recent round, if that trend continues, I think we might see it come back in, as there's a lot of problems dealing with it, mainly because one thing I've noticed is that they're not even really bringing the Monty into the round until super late, like when they're pretty much ready to go for the execute. That's when the Monty actually takes contact the first time usually in the round. They're not really using him to try and clear out areas like garage and whatnot, where he's traditionally been used to push out. The one time we did see him used in the site there back at Cash and C's TV before, he was pushing up through construction actually and showed up at the last second, overwhelmed that last player, things like that. So they're using him in a pretty interesting way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the thing for Disrupt's offense is that they haven't been able to put a diffuser down just yet, and it's not from the matter of whether it be map control or site pressure. It seems that they have plenty of that. Is that Tempo is so apt to take gunfights a lot of the times, and Disrupt still seemingly not ready for most of them. For Tempo Storm, I like how they continue to push the envelope and make Disrupt respect their play. As we've been talking about, I think actually this is a recent tweet from Macy as well, is for some reason everyone has it backwards for Rainbow Six. Everyone wants to get super aggressive on defense and do practically nothing on offense, just hold angles and stand still. Tempo Storm are playing that aggro defense, and it's really working for them.
All right, guys, got a bit of an update with regards to the rehost and what exactly is going on. I know that some of you may be confused as to why exactly we rehosted. It was an admin that called for it, and it was for a very important reason. To explain it real quickly here, the peak that we saw at the end of one of the rounds from NJR, I think we're going to replay it here in a second. The peak that we saw from NJR, this one right here, where it was able to spin round 6 back around, this is an illegal peak, ladies and gentlemen. So as a result of that, Disrupt Gaming are going to be subtracted a round, and we are going to resume the game where it was from that point forward.
Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't hear your exact words there at the phrasing there at the end. So we have to go back to that round. Is that what you said?
No. So we're going to continue where we were, but Disrupt are going to run.
So now is it gifted over to Tempo, I'm assuming?
That I was not told, so I don't want to say yes or no to that one in case I'm wrong.
We'll get it figured out.
I think they're just going to have one round removed, I believe, but we'll obviously, have a much clearer picture once we go back.
All right. Well, I just got the word in my ear that we're waiting to confirm to see exactly what the score line's going to be. So as soon as we have that information, just toss my pencil. I will let you guys know. But Tempo Storm, Disrupt, the Clubhouse, as well as the Consulate matchup. I think that the main differences between these two, like we talked about before, is just obviously how the maps are built. Clubhouse is a lot more close quarters. There's a lot more utility to go through as well when it comes to actually entering into the building. Consulate, there's usually a soft spot that you can find that the defense really isn't paying attention to, where you can actually get some entrance into the building without using too much utility, drone through, and get your entries going. But on Clubhouse, it's proven very difficult for both of these teams, all except for Disrupt with that Monty play.
Also, as well, you know, for me, the last map that we played on seems like there's always generally a few more options to how to approach a situation. Like, it's not always like a one-dimensional take with regards to where you kind of have to go. There's quite a few sites on Clubhouse, though, where I feel like attackers are forced into a few sorts of areas of the map where they absolutely have to take control of it, or there's like not going to be a chance for them to be able to win out the round. All right, guys, so we just got another update as well, so I'm going to give you that as well. Just had that fed in my ear. So it looks like we're going to be starting at 5-4 will be the score line. Tempo will have the lead, will be what we jump on when we get back in game. So that's where we're going to start the match off once we obviously get all the players and whatnot back.
Well, you know what that means,
which we're still waiting on.
Apologies for cutting you off, my friend. You know.
No, you're good. What's up?
Means, though, right? I got to pick up my pencil, and I have to use that eraser to change some numbers around.
Okay. I was like scared you were gonna bring a prop on or something for a second.
Yeah, I had Veli's trash can sitting in the corner. I felt like I might use it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's always a chance to bring that one out, right?
Hey, I mean,
got like a daily opportunity for that one, really, if you wanted it.
I feel like trash cans have such an application to multiple scenarios inside of esports. We should just use them more often, you know? Get in the bin.
All right, guys, but once again, if you are just joining us, we apologize for not having anything too interesting going on right now. We did just have to do an administrative rehost of our match here between these two teams. We are in the process of having Tempo and Disrupt face off against each other. We are on the second map as Tempo took control of map number 1 over on Consulate. And now we are in Clubhouse, already in the midst of the game, and in just a few moments, we're going to be resuming play with a 5-4 scoreline in the favor of Tempo. So that puts them now only 2 more rounds away from being able to close out on this map, and more importantly, on this series, and arguably even more importantly, give them the major qualifier spot over
I would
their
definitely
opponents.
argue that that's the most important factor. I would at least argue.
We're like building up to it, you know?
Always the good build-ups, my friend. Always the good build-ups.
Yeah.
Well, that's just very unfortunate. That's just very unfortunate. I'm trying to figure out exactly what you want to talk about here, but talking about that play, it sucks for NJR because he more than likely didn't know. And to be frank with you guys, I didn't know. I assumed that since he was able to just get up in the windowsill by himself under his own power, sprinting, you know.
I think it's probably the part where it's because you mentioned this when we brought it up before, because you don't get
Correct.
revealed by it. That's the part that makes it illegal. If I had to make a guess,
You are completely correct.
Yeah, it's like that's a pretty obvious advantage, you know. That, you know, can't really work because it does abuse the game mechanics if you sit back and be real about it for a second.
I wonder from a coding perspective, that's simply because his feet are still placed inside since he's leaning, and it only accounts for if your entire body is outside.
Yeah, I don't know how they how they have the parameters for getting detected to work. I mean, you're pretty much right. It would depend on how exactly they do it. If it's like the whole body has to be out or something like that. But that's also like just abusing because you have to do the hop over, obviously, to get to that point, and that's like where a lot of other pros get to really cool spots where they're able to go on it like at a weird angle, and the weird angle thing is what usually allows you to get on top of stuff, which is what we saw right there from NJR. So that's just like kind of creatively abusing the hop up mechanics too.
Well, the crappy thing as well for Disrupt is that they were linking rounds together pretty well, and it seemed that their play had finally came back, especially NJR's. And now that we've had this happen, not only could that be mentally taxing to Disrupt, but it gives Tempo Storm a timeout to talk about a lot of things. And when you're on the defense, you can change up a lot of ways in how the game plays. We've already seen what what Disrupt has to offer on the offense, and it really seems to be leaning on that shield play. Unless they have another ace in the hole somewhere that they're going to pull out on us after this, I think that we've seen most of what they want to show. Now it's time for Tempo Storm to act and counteract this, especially picking up that lead now.
Yeah, and as you said it perfectly. I mean, they've got this huge gap of time now to figure out so many different things. If there were any issues that they didn't have time to discuss because of the game moving too quickly or the rounds moving too quickly, well, they certainly have the time now. It's been at least like 5 minutes, potentially 10, since we came out of that game. So there's been a lot of breakdown time for them, a lot of time to decompose as well if the team was getting stressed for any reason. These have been a lot of really close rounds. And to be fair, DG has the same exact advantage. But yeah, it gives Tempo a moment to just sit back, kind of relax, reset themselves, and hopefully come into the game with a fresh mindset as well when they finally restart things.
Well, it seems like we're getting closer and closer here. We have everyone in the lobby. We've already told them what the score update is. Tempo and Disrupt both ready. So just going to check over things one last time and jump into things. Yes button has been hit, folks. We're jumping back into Clubhouse. Tempo versus Disrupt. 5-4 in favor of Tempo.
Let's head in game, folks. Like you said, you'll see the score adjustment here in just a moment. If you were watching us from the VOD and the part where we explained what happened got cut off, I'm just going to explain it one more time here. We had an administrative decision come out. There was an illegal peek from NJR back in round 6. As a result of that, DG have lost a round, and now Tempo has the lead at 5-4.
It's just unfortunate. I'll just say it again. It's just unfortunate. But for
Yeah.
Tempo Storm, we're going to head downstairs now. So let's jump right into the meat of this, folks. We're going to have a 6-pick away from the pulse of all operators. And we're going to bring the Kaid instead. So they want to keep these hatches locked and more than likely want to attempt to get rid of one of those exothermics. Even the attempt is still worth bringing Kaid. If you're able to get one of those exothermic charges destroyed, that's basically the whole round for Disrupt. You no longer have the multiple avenues you need to be able to attack this site. Everything's going to be a funneled push down a staircase.
This is going to be a very big test for Disrupt to see how they handle the news from what happened. Obviously, if they come into this one a little bit deflated, that's potentially going to be a very bad sign for the rest of the series for them. But hopefully they've taken it relatively lightly here and are just going to come back in, same as Tempo, just focused, ready to try and close this out, and in their case, send it to a map 3. So let's find out about that, as they've just been spawned in.
Well, already have quite a decent amount of drones gone already. And we just started the round, only 10 seconds into the action phase, and already have 2 drones down. Make sure to stay on top of that for you guys. So Disrupt, we'll see what their main game plan is here with the... Oh,
nope,
never
we're not
mind.
doing anything.
Cancel that. Cancel that. Cancel everything that I was saying. Didn't even matter. Didn't even matter.
All right, guys.
I don't know what happened, but I'm sure they're gonna let us know. So you guys are gonna come back to us.
It was Disrupt's call for a rehost. That's all I saw. So Disrupt obviously having like a quick tech issue. Somebody might have had a sound bug or something like that. So we're just gonna try that again, folks. Coming out of game here, we'll resettle players and stuff real quickly, and then we'll hopefully jump back in a little bit quicker this time, since we don't have to mess with the score or anything like that. Should just be resetting up the lobby and jumping us back in once we get all 10 players reconnected.
Yeah, well, the crappy news is that I've expended most of my fill. I'm going to be really honest with you. I thought we were going to get through that 10 minutes and jump right back in, but we're at a hindrance right now. I guess what we can talk about, John, is the comparisons to Disrupt and their performance between Consulate as well as Clubhouse. Just overall on the scoreboard. We've most notably talked about NJR most of this time, but it seems that Nyx and Shuttle are also signs of life here.
Yeah, I mean, Nyx, we showed him on camera quite a few times. Like, Nyx is super fired up right now in this match. He's popping off every time his team wins a round and we get him on camera. So there's a lot of flame coming in right now, a lot of passion with this team and trying to close out these rounds. And I think that's contributing a little bit to the individual performances. Again, you know, we said this like 20 times already. This match is super important for both these teams. This has contentions to play into the major. So with that being said, that matters a lot more. And, you know, just looking at the first match performance again to continue that discussion, it even seemed like Tempo had like direct counter strategy going on for some of the stuff that DG was bringing to the table. And that alone should tell you how competitive of a matchup we're looking at between these two teams because of what is actually on the line right now.
Yeah, well, since we are now beginning to sound like a broken record, folks, we have a break lined up for you guys. So we're going to toss to that and we will see you guys after.
All right, welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the midst of Clubhouse here between Disrupt Gaming and Tempo Storm. Now, the scoreline that you're looking at might be different from the scoreline you were looking at previously, especially if you're watching the VOD. And to explain what happened really quickly, back on round number 6, at the very end of the round, there was an illegal peek from NJR. As a result of that, Disrupt Gaming have lost a round from their previous score, and now Tempo leads 5-4.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for the Disrupt squad, especially with what's happened earlier in the season as well, with the skin gate thing going on, and now we're having an illegal peak. But it appears to be that it's a new rule with our new tournament organizers. So
just to be fair, we don't have confirmation
we don't.
as a new rule, but that's what most people seem to be saying right now.
We never had a ruling like that with obviously with prior competition, but it's definitely something that is quite abusive. I can definitely tell you that. So definitely not something that we want inside of a competitively viable match. So I'll at least put my opinion on that, and you can at me on Twitter if you think I'm wrong. I could genuinely not care about what you're going to say about it. So anyways, Tempo Storm now in the lead because of that, and that's the important thing. And they're also bringing the Kaid once again. So we'll see if the Electro Claws work out. They were planning on going down here the last time before we ended up going to the break, so they more than likely already have set in stone what they want to do.
Yeah, I would imagine a pretty straightforward first minute or two to the round here, since these guys have had a good probably like 20 minutes at this point to figure out how exactly they wanted to approach this round. I would hope that Disrupt are going to be able to do it in concise fashion. Already, we've got a few players working in for bar control, and the same can be said for the large majority of the first floor here. I believe it's a full 5-man basement hold from Tempo as well, so nothing in the roam department going to be coming out this time, similarly to how Disrupt also played this in the basement. Expect Disrupt to basically just try and set themselves up and then work on the actual execute, but that often takes a bit longer than you might expect it to. You want to make sure you have a lot of info, and if you can, potentially some top-down play if you're going to be able to open that up for yourself too.
This round could prove to be more difficult than I initially thought, at least, for Tempo Storm rolling into this. They don't have much intel game. The only intel game that they truly have is Sloppy on that Maestro. No pulse play here, so it's all going to be off of the default cams and their efforts on communication. Early pick here for NJR. That's Sloppy. NJR finally truly back to form with that early kill.
So Creator is this time going to be the player to hold himself behind the air conditioner in blue, waiting to see if the actual swing is going to work its way down, but not going to be happening. Blue steps will be cleared out by NJR and the others from DG, and they're actually going to back away from that. Looks like NJR is going to redeploy into Oil Pit since it has the wood barricade on it. It can safely drop down without taking a risk about someone in dirt trying to take him out, as we saw a few rounds back.
Toxic Babe's now out inside of dirt. Shuttle's been down, but Retro can safely pick him up. Stun grenades out to try and stave off this defender, but Dream's making it very difficult. Shotgun out once again. Is he out of Toxic Babes? He is not. Still has 2 of those in his pocket. Not very many shotgun shells, though. Seems that he had done quite a bit of that work inside of site recreation. Smoke's actually down inside of blue now as Disrupt is trying to take over. Capitao in, crazy to get the kill though, and blue has already been dealt with. Retro still down, and we only have 3 remaining members of this Disrupt squad.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
You can see Disrupt. It's mainly just the dirt push that's left here too. And the problem is those 2 players have taken heavy amounts of damage. That drone's going to go out. It's almost like a fake nade drone right there. Haven't seen that in Siege before, but Dream is still going to be able to carve his way past both the players from DG when the fight eventually comes his direction. Reed is now the last player standing for Disrupt. He's in a 4v1. He's already been surrounded at Moto here. Not much hope, unfortunately, for Reed to try and fight out of this one. And eventually it is going to be Creators from the inside of blue to shut this round down, give it to Tempo, and put them on map match along with major qualifier point.
Thank you for saying qualifier twice. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Actually, I just realized that wasn't necessary to say qualifier twice.
Oh, I thought you were saying qualifier twice so everyone knew that it was the qualifier and they didn't just get a spot. You hit it very well. I'm sorry for pointing it out. I'm a terrible co-commentator.
I think I didn't actually need to say it twice. I thought I did, but I didn't.
Very unfortunate for me. Apologies, my friend.
You're good.
Gym Bedroom going to be the next site for Tempo Storm. But getting into the last round and exactly how things went down, Tempo Storm did a great job of locking down Blue and Dirt. Disrupt could not get a single foothold on either one of those areas when that seemed to be the main game plan the entire time. They expended a lot of utility, especially with the Capital bolts going into Blue to clear that space. Disrupt could not get any of those entry frags that were needed, and that's been their trouble all day. I know that we've been saying that NJR seems to be back to form, at least for Clubhouse, but they're not getting the entries that they need, and that's the specific department where NJR usually steps up in. Again, if you guys weren't here earlier, he's first in the entire league for entry kills with 14. Well, he's plus 14, excuse me.
10 seconds left before
It's going to be a Gym Bedroom defense this time here from Tempo. They have to go to the third point on their site rotation. I believe, my memory on this is probably a little bit fuzzy, so apologies if I'm wrong. I believe that we still have Cashman CCTV locked for this round, so they should not be able to play into it. That'll become available on the next round if they want to try and rotate.
We do indeed, actually. So the last two rounds that were won from Tempo Storm were obviously linked together when they were in fifth, or when they had 5, excuse me, when they got their fifth score, which was CCTV, then Church, and now we're going to Gym. So there you go.
All right, thank you very much, Stokes. A quick
I try.
update there. So we've got Tempo actually trying to play a little bit aggressive this time, at least on the window contacts. Nyx is alone up here on balcony, and he nearly got himself pinched. Thankfully, realized what was potentially about to happen and backed out, put himself into a much better spot here now. So if Sloppy does try to peek the security window, more than likely someone's going to be ready for it. Whether they'll be able to kill him or not, however, is another matter entirely.
And for Disrupt, this is a very dangerous area to be playing. There's a lot of areas that you need to be watching, specifically that CCTV window. NJR gets lit up once again, and there's no trade there in damage or a kill at all. Just quite a bit of damage now. NJR only half the man he used to be. Drones out for Disrupt. Need to try and get some intel into sight, but it's quickly dispatched, and that's already a decent amount of their drone game gone, at least for Retro's sake.
With that being said, Disrupt's going to be put into potentially a very bad spot from this point forward if they can't find a way to isolate out members of Tempo and open up this site a little bit more for a take. Already losing the first player there. Nyx is going to go down. Thankfully, his utility, I believe... Oh, actually, I don't even remember. Utility potentially being lost in that situation there. That is the case that he goes down early. And that'll be a pretty major loss, as he's very good at causing chaos and especially splitting the sites up with the micro smokes, which can be thrown a lot more precisely, obviously, than the normal one. Dream gets himself get another pickup here now as well, as a second member from Disrupt is going to fall. The swing from NJR into the window, though, surprisingly does get the better of Dream. He'll quickly hop back out to avoid issues from being refragged. The damage is done here. Now they've brought it back, made things a little bit more palatable. Can they get into the site? This nade would certainly help, but unfortunately it is going to get eaten up by an ADS.
Oh, good Evil Eye here inside of Waits. Gets a lot of intel on the last two remaining operators for DG. It will blow Bathroom, but it's impacted up top. Good intel, or a good utility usage there from Mark. Still have some pressure towards the top of main stairs, but at every front, Tempo is slowing them down. All of this utility still at their disposal. Still has an impact, tosses it over to deal a little bit of damage. Sees the gun barrel. Mark prone right now with the Alda. Can he get the second one for the road? He can. Mark finishes it out with 2 headshots, and Tempo Storm, out of these two, will be the team to go to the NA qualifier for the major.
Mark just inviting people in at the end there with those last few shots. The bait his final opponent out, and it works. 7-4 is our final scoreline here. Tempo take control, and with that, managed to get the 2-0. Not only that, but they're going to be moving on to qualifying for the major qualifier. That was the Dell qualifier speak that I was trying to bring out before, but they've made it in, so big congratulations to them. For Disrupt, they are unfortunately going to fall 1 position short of that, and will take 7th overall for the stage of the US.
Unfortunate, especially for Disrupt, because of how well they came out this season. No one truly expected too much out of this squad. There was a lot of talk about them before the season started that, you know, NJR could definitely be something, but no one truly knew. We now know that Disrupt is actually very, very good as a squad. I'm really, really excited to see what they're going to be doing come next split.
Yeah, I mean, overall, all of the teams here in Group B have been working very hard to make improvements for themselves and start to compete with the Group A teams. Obviously, we've been seeing them skirmish all over the place throughout the course of this stage. It sets up some really cool stuff for Stage 2 as we get later into the year, and I'm very excited to see how all of that plays out. That's going to do it for us for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but don't go anywhere just yet, as we still have our final segment with the analysis desk coming up right after this break.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse. And Tempo winning in 2 maps. They are heading to the NA Major Qualifier. Woo! All right, gentlemen. We definitely got to talk about that rehost. Round 6. That changed the score 5-4 Tempo. Jesse, that was a game changer.
Poor Disrupt. That's just so... It happened in week 1 with the skins, and I don't need to bring that up again. But then now here with the window peak, it's just... It's always this team making those mistakes. It's really unfortunate that this keeps happening to them. Hopefully this will be the end of it. I do think that, you know, they're a new team. NGR's a new player. Give him some slack. Obviously, this wasn't something where he's maliciously like, oh, I can get away with this. It's just a mistake from him, and he's breaking the rules. The right call was made, you know, flip that round, but it is really sad to see. And you could tell the momentum changed too, right? Like, there was a definite shift, and they didn't win a single round after that rehost happened.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Tempo Storm a little bit. Veli, Dream. That's all I gotta say.
That's all anybody has to say. I love, look at the man. Yes. He's so just, Dream looks like somebody you want to hug. I don't know what it is about him, right? My man looks huggable. No, Dream.
100%.
Dream showed out the first series they've ever had this new season against TSM, and that was a Dream that I really love to see. He was middle of the pack after that because Tempo Storm struggled. They made role changes, and he looks so much more comfortable again, even though he's playing, you know, the same thing. I love his isolation plays. I think he's one of the best when it comes to that. When we saw him in Dirt Tunnel in the 1v2, he was able to down a player and just hold him down for so long, throwing toxic babes, stalling, wasting so much time while he's on defense, and then eventually got the 2K after about, over a minute of fighting in a 1v2. Dream creators slap the entire team. This isn't the tempo we saw earlier. I love it, and I want them to continue with this type of success. I want them to keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Jesse.
No, I was going to say 2 maps in a row. We saw Dream Daddy really step up. So really nice to see. If he joins the ranks of the players on Storm we want to watch out for, like creators and Sloppy, I'm all for it.
You know what the thing is, Jackie? When the team wins and the team loses, you can either say a team played bad or a team played great. I think this was more of Tempo Storm playing so much better than it was Disrupt playing bad. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a good summary for sure. Jesse, I want to talk to you about tempo on attack. They weren't pushing together, and I know we were chatting before the break, and you were telling me that you thought this could have been more coordinated.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple, in this first part of the map, it really did look like it was going Disrupt's way, right? I thought a couple of their pushes looked a little bit weak. We're here on Clubhouse, which can tilt a little bit more defender-sided, and they got 2 rounds, which was fine. But it seemed like they could have gotten a couple more if they were a little bit better coordinated. I'm thinking of one push onto Blue, particularly, where they essentially give 2 separate 1v1s, and they get the 1-for-1 trade, but it's like if you go in together, if you can time yourselves a little bit better, if you're a little bit more coordinated, they could really win a couple more of those rounds. This could have been even more dominant series. So it's little things. I know they won, and they did perform really, really well, but I think it's always nice to still be able to give a little bit of feedback, a little bit of criticism, because there's always room to grow.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, we have Dream on deck. Let's give him a little golf clap, everybody.
There you go.
Come on, Jesse. Come on, Jesse. There we go. All right.
We love you, Dream.
Mr. Dream, can you hear us? How you doing? Congratulations. Yay.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? You're going to the NA qualifier.
Yep, it feels really good to make it in. I was worried for a little bit there, but we brought it back, so it's all good.
Yeah, talk to me about that. So you said you were a little bit worried. I mean, y'all looked pretty good out there. You did it in 2 maps. Obviously, there were some rehosts and some other factors that came into play. But talk to me about what your approach was to this match and why you thought y'all were able to bring DG down.
Well, we moved Crazy back to the hard breach role, and I think that really helped with our executes overall. We still got a few kinks to work out, like timing things together, and certain pushes looked kind of rough today, but we ended up getting the dub in the end, so it doesn't matter. But our attacks overall have been a lot better with Crazy back on the breach.
All right, so up next, Sonics, it's the rivalry we all love. Are y'all going to get revenge? What's going to go down?
I mean, if the Tempo Storm from today shows up again when we play them, and we'll 100% take the dub. I know that the guys have what it takes, and I know we can do it, so I'm not even worried.
Wow, you ain't going to throw any shade at the Sonics, huh?
No shade. I respect them. I think they're a good team.
Aww, I love it. Aw, Dream, we love you to pieces. You're so adorable. Okay, so Dream, you clapped DG. You're on your way to the qualifier. Can you give us a proper clap for your fans out there? Yes. Dream, thank you so much, and congratulations again. Thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. Oh my gosh, let's bring it back to our analyst. You know what? All 3 of us tried to do the clap, and we can't do it justice. There's just some way that he does it that makes it so much more adorable. Anyway, that was Dream, y'all, and obviously very happy, and just, I was like, you ain't gonna throw any shade, and I love it. He's like, nah, no shade to be thrown. No. That's always nice to see, right? But okay, gentlemen, we got the Corsair play the day. What are we thinking?
I always forget about this, Jesse.
I know, I throw it on y'all.
I get so excited because I'm at the games. So let's think. What were the big plays? I was gonna say NJR, but that was an illegal play. So what's left?
Hey,
not the play of the day.
During the interview, I was looking back through my notes because I was like, okay, what comes the play of the day? Okay. And so I'm thinking my best guess is gonna be some aggressive play from Vertical on Consulate. When he went for those runouts, he ended up with a 4K on that map. Oh. Maybe another vertical play from Cafe because he did quite well on that map too. I'm gonna lock in a vertical play of some sort.
Okay, well, let's roll it. Let's just see what it is. Corsair, player of the day, everybody. I almost said player of the day. Play of the day. And here we are. Okay, OXG, TSM. And
Okay.
Oh, yes.
this was pretty good.
The Bolo play.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was
The
pretty darn
Bolo
good.
1v2
Okay.
was impressive.
Yeah. Okay. And
sure.
that, everyone, was your Corsair play of the day. All right, gentlemen, we're very close to the end here. We're going to look over the bracket, recap the day. Jesse, can you do us the honors of doing Group B?
So we're done. This is phase 2, stage 1, all completed. We've got 1 through 8 completely ranked, and we can see it now on our screens. In Group B for phase 2, we had Sonic's, Tempo Storm, Disrupt, and E United. They were battling out. The best they could get was 5th, and how it ended up shaking out with Sonic's in 5th, Tempo Storm in 6th. Disrupt and E United will take the last 2 spots. They're not relegated, but they will have bad seeding going into stage 2, and they're not headed to the regional qualifier nor the major. They're done for now. They have to wait a couple of months before they can play again. Dark Zero, Sonic's, and Tempo Storm, though, making it to that regional qualifier, so their hopes are still alive.
All right, and Veli, Group A.
Group A, we all see it. The top 4. And the way it turned out, Space Station, TSM, and Oxygen, they were auto-qualified for the major. Dark Zero, unfortunately, they're going to battle it out with the top 2 teams from Group B. That's going to be a giant coin flip, but I personally hope that Dark Zero, they take this qualifier personal. If you haven't watched their content, Into the Dark, you should. This is going to be serious, and honestly, I don't know who's going to come out alive. Or on top, excuse me.
Come out alive. Wow, Veli.
That was kind of, that was dark.
That's
I'm sorry.
intense there.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's the way I
gosh,
think.
it's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's late. It's
Let
late.
her
But
die.
everybody, thank you so much for watching. We do have the Canada Division and Challenger League on Friday. And then we've been talking about it constantly today. Do not miss the NA Major Qualifier. That is on Saturday. We're all going to be here for it. It's going to be awesome. It starts at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So mark your calendar, set that little alarm on your phone, and come join these lovely gentlemen and myself. And I, of course, want to thank Veli and Jesse. Y'all are awesome. Love you guys to pieces. Also, a lot of love to our casters and to the crew behind the scenes. And for all of you at home, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate y'all so much. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you on Saturday. You better be there.